Tonight, the Toronto Maple Leafs will look to take their first 2-0 series lead in a Stanley Cup Playoff series in 23 years when they host the Ottawa Senators in the second game of the Battle of Ontario in this Eastern Conference quarterfinals. They have not won the first 2 games of a postseason series since doing so in the Eastern Conference quarterfinals against the New York Islanders in 2002. They went on to win that best-of-7 series in 7 games. Last time around, it was a 6-2 victory for the Maple Leafs over the Senators in Game 1, but they are braced for pushback from the Sens. The lone lineup change for Toronto involves Pontus Holmberg, who replaced Max Domi on the second line with John Tavares and William Nylander during practice on Monday. Max Domi dropped down to the third line where he's going to center Bobby McMann and Nick Robertson. The Senators will be faced with a number of game-time decisions. Ridley Gregg and Nick Jensen did not participate in the morning skate. However, Travis Green has said that the both of them should be available to play. Green did not confirm that Nick Cousins would enter into the lineup after sitting out of Game 1, but the forward spoke as if he'd be playing. He played the final 2 games of the regular season after missing the previous 30 because of knee surgery. Missing morning skates have been a regular occurrence for Nick Jensen during the regular season, but more often than not, he has played in the game that night. Gregg, however, has been a regular participant in morning skates, so his absence adds to the intrigue. Ottawa is intent on having better discipline than they did in Game 1 when they took 15 penalties for a total of 38 minutes. Toronto had 9 penalties for 18 minutes in total. Anthony Stolarz was not at the morning skate yesterday, but the reasoning is that he got a rest day. Domi shipped back to center on the third line and attempt to ignite the offense from Bobby McMann and to break his goal funk. He has gone 12 games without a goal since scoring in a 7-2 win against the Philadelphia Flyers on March 25th. The Toronto's block shots margin in Game 1 was 6. The Maple Leafs had 18 blocks to the Senators' 12, and Jake McCabe led all players in that category with 4. And do look for Craig Berube saying that the Leafs must play better 5-on-5 than he did in Game 1. He specifically thought about this line of Qtrs, Tim Stützle, and Brady Tkachuk. They have far too many easy offensive zone entries, something he said Toronto needs to address. Will Toronto's defensemen stand up at the blue line more and force the Stützle line to dump pucks in deep? That's where we're going to find out. Hello everyone, I am Alec Nava. Welcome to Toronto and one of the meccas of ice hockey. Here for the second game between the Senators and the Leafs. The first playoff series that the Senators are playing in since 2017 when they made it to the Eastern Conference Final. As we look into our lineups, we're beginning with Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, Qtrs for the Sens on the top line. David Perron, Dylan Cousins, Drake Batherson. It's Fabian Zetterlund, Shane Pinto, Michael Amadio, and Nick Cousins, Adam Gaudette, and Matthew Highmore to round it out. Jake Sanderson of Artem Zub, Thomas Chabot with Travis Hamonic, or Nick Jensen if he were to slot into the lineup, Tyler Klevin, and Nicholas Madenpalo. That's the defensive lines. Linus Ullmark to get the start, and Tom Forsberg is the backup. Scratch are Dennis Gilbert, Levi Merilainen, and Gregg. A situation may be that to an injury. Jensen is a game-time decision. For the Leafs, their lineup is like this. Matt Nyes, Austin Matthews, and Mitch Marner. Pontus Holmberg, John Tavares, William Nylander on the second line. Third line, Joe Bobby McMann, Max Domi, Nick Robertson, and Steven Lorentz, Scott Laughton and Calle Järnkrok to round it out. The defensive pairs, Morgan Riley with Brandon Carlo, Jake McCabe with Chris Tanev, Simon Benoit with Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Anthony Stolarz to start again. Joseph Woll is the backup. The Sens lines reflected those used during their morning skate, and the Leafs will dress the same 18 skaters they used in their 6-2 win in Game 1. The Holmberg-Domi switch was foreshadowed after Berube moved Holmberg up to the second line in place of Domi midway through Game 1, as that was highlighted. As we look into this preview, Ottawa tried to play a physical game in Game 1, but it worked against them. The Sens prayed to the penalty box 6 times, which played right into the Leafs' hands. And Toronto capitalized, where he scored 3 power play goals within the first 10 seconds of each of those man advantages. Discipline is still going to be a top priority for Ottawa heading into tonight's game. They still want to play a heavy style, but they need to walk this line carefully. The Leafs will look to take a 2-0 series lead before shifts to Canada's capital. And they came out flying last time around, jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and they never looked back once at all. And they want to continue that momentum entering this game. It'll be interesting to see how the Sens respond to their very undisciplined start to the series, and it can be tough given their inexperience in the playoffs. But something will need to change or this series will be over. They need to regroup ahead of Game 2 and come into tonight's game and worry more about playing a simpler game to try and tie the series. As for the Leafs, they'll need to keep pushing back physically while leaning on their experience and high-end skill to take control of the series. This actually is uncharted territory for Toronto because this time around, they are the more experienced team in a playoff series, instead of being the lesser experienced team, as in postseasons past when they faced teams like the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins. The lone exception being the Florida Panthers and the Montreal Canadiens and such. You can count the Columbus Blue Jackets in that category. So that's for Toronto, what to look for. The Craig Berube says that the Leafs will be ready for a pushback. The new era of the Battle of Ontario is already delivering physicality and intensity in the first playoff showdown between these two rivals. This game, the first one, saw 52 penalty minutes handed out between the two teams, accusations of embellishment from Travis Green, and Ridley Gregg involved in another messy cross-check, promising only more drama to come as this series unfolds. Craig Berube said after the first playoff tilt, he finally understands what the Battle of Ontario is about. And despite the win, there's still little reason to think this will be easy for the Leafs. Ottawa swept the season series against the Leafs, only allowing an average of a goal per game. If they can get disciplined and find a defensive structure, they have the potential to frustrate the Leafs again. And with that in mind, Berube says his team is bracing for the energy that the Sens are primed to bring in Game 2. Toronto's Game 1 win was highlighted by 3 power play goals in the top unit. And while it's refreshing to see special teams firing on all cylinders, the Leafs may get less opportunities on the man advantage if the Senators can play more disciplined hockey, knowing that Berube is aware that Toronto has to be ready to capitalize on the jump, without counting on their special teams to offer a boost. With this win, Berube became the first Leafs coach to win the Stanley Cup Playoffs debut as the helm of the team since Dan Maloney in 1986. Unbelievable. It's a testament to the structure that he's built in his first year with the team, and what they have the potential to accomplish if they keep playing his aggressive and resilient style of hockey. So as we are getting into the action here, Maple Leaf Square, it's lights out, the towels are waving, everyone's loud, they have the passion. Everyone waving their towels here. This series will shift to Ottawa when Game 3 arrives. As for our referees for tonight's game, Gord Dwyer and Pierre Lambert. Linesmen are James Tobias and Trent Knorr. So in the meantime, it is the Carolina Hurricanes and New Jersey Devils. Carolina leads 2-1 in Game 2. New Jersey's goal comes from Jesper Bratt. And Carolina's 2 goals, one of them even strength, and the other one is short-handed. The first one from Shane Gostisbehere, he roofed that one top shelf, and the second one on a 2-on-1 rush, led by Jordan Martinook, who fired the short-handed goal to get Carolina a 2-1 lead. In 7 playoff games against New Jersey, Martinook has 4 goals and 8 assists, 1.71 points per game, and +7 rating. He has points in all 7 games. A shorthanded goal tonight. This is a team he loves to face, because as Sean McDonough noted in a previous game when Carolina faced New Jersey, that was Game 4 between these two of the second round series 2 years ago, all of a sudden he's Wayne Gretzky. And all of a sudden he turns into Wayne Gretzky when he goes up against New Jersey. 2 years ago, the Devils had Jack Hughes healthy. That was off a 99-point season. And the Carolinas on another 2-on-1 rush. Pass across and Stahl gets gobbled up by Jacob Markstrom. I'm not commentating that game, but the third line's doing the work. Logan Stankoven and Jordan Stahl. I almost said Martinook. This is Game 2 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinal. The Senators and the Maple Leafs. Ottawa trying to even this series up. Toronto trying to take a 2-0 series lead. Game 1, Linus Ullmark allowed 6 goals, tied for the most in a playoff start. In his playoff career, he's 3-7, and he has playoff demons to slay. Based on his tenure between Boston and Ottawa, Anthony Stolarz with 31 saves against Ottawa in Game 1, .939 save percentage. And while he usually does not get shutouts, he can bring the reliability that Toronto needs inside the crease. The last time these two teams faced off, 2004. That was the last playoff series in which the Leafs have won a Game 7. Game 2. As Craig Berube starts his fourth line out there, here we go! Game 2 is underway. Let's get rocking and rolling. First possession goes to Ottawa with Steven Lorentz watching. Fed up front to the far side as Ottawa tries to move this one up, but in the way there was Oliver Ekman-Larsson, the number 95. And the Sens dump this down deep. Ridley Gregg is in the lineup on the third line with Pinto and Amadio. Cousins, Gaudette, and Zetterlund on the fourth line. Highmore slots out. The Leafs keep this in. Nick Jensen's in the lineup as promised, as Laughton delivers this back to the right point, and now opposite point McCabe sends one on Ullmark, who makes an easy save. Lawrence chops at it. It came out in front for Perron. David Perron clears this one out, and Tanev will move this for McCabe. Jake McCabe and Chris Tanev, the shutdown pairing for the Leafs. They'll move it up for Tavares as the second line gets out there. Ullmark gets shoved off by Sanderson, and the Sens will start from their own zone. Nylander pursued by Pinto. Up for the far half boards. This is batted up and chipped away for the far side. Slowed down was Tavares. Pinto wants to keep it in and does. Down low is Amadio, who had dispossessed. Stanley Cup champion with the Vegas Golden Knights. Nylander for the right side for Carlo, and up ahead. Here comes Holberg. Ullmark shut it down. Leafs keep a hold of it with Tavares. Backhander. Missed the target, but is held inside again. That is Carlo, who delivers it to the far corner for Nylander. Tavares shoved off by Zub, and it bounces to the far half boards. Amadio was there, but he's under siege. Got it off quickly to Zub, and Zub waits. He'll fire this one down. Stolarz will let this one go to the far corner. Or Kachuk is at. Giroux is back behind the net. Playoff warrior with the Philadelphia Flyers. Giroux dispossessed. Nice gives chase to it. 2-on-2 if they hurry. Car crash towards the penalty box doors. And here's Chabot. Upended. As a takeaway ensues. Nice. Trying to deliver this one. Out in front. Marner! Rang it off the post! Oh, how close that was for Toronto to get the opening goal. Matthews tried to take it away from Stützle. And both he and Tanev were there, right on time at the far half boards to deliver it back. McCabe for Tanev. McCabe waits and sends it up front. McMahon sends it around for Matt-Paolo. Krevin delivers this one away. And Cousins hounded by Domi. Has family ties, as Ty Domi used to be one of the Leaf grinders. Domi tries to get it front for McMahon, but gets dispossessed. And up for the middle. Coasting through Zetterlund, who fires one on for Stolarz. Ekman-Larsson can't pick it up. Gaudette is tied up. At the far half boards on the keep is Zetterlund. Trade deadline acquisition by San Jose. And Ottawa keeps it. Zub tried to cross ice, but that's broken up. Perron wanting to keep it. David Perron. Whacked at once by Robertson. Perron delivered it down low for Cousins. Perron recollects and gets dispossessed. And now here's Domi. Mad Max can't clear. Sanderson sends it to the near corner. It's picked up by Simon Benoit. Too far for Ekman-Larsson, but he delivers one off for Robertson. Nick Robertson chips one down for Ullmark. And seeing that Scott Laughton was giving chase, he'll cover it up. But not before some words from Zub. How close was that for Mitch Marner? And Pontus Holmberg. Holmberg had a chance denied by Ullmark on a breakaway. And Matt Nyes, who wanted to set up from Gretzky's office, wanted to go cross ice for Matthews, but as he was on his knees, finds Marner was all low in the slot with Nick Jensen in front. Just hits the post. Everyone in the Leafs Nation thought that was going to go in. Ullmark is at the benches, getting something in going. Wanting to check out with the medical staff. Marner had his 5th career 3-point playoff game in Game 1. That's the 3rd most in Maple Leafs franchise history. The franchise has existed since 1917. 13 Stanley Cups, 2nd most in NHL history to the Montreal Canadiens 24. The last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup was in 1993. But this Leafs team believes that they can beat a team that can break the Canada drought. Hasn't happened yet though, but the belief is there. Ullmark continuing to get checked up by the medical staff looking at his pad. He has an issue with one of his pads. So, in the meantime, we're going to be checking up with you on recent score lines, NHL and NBA, because the playoffs are around as Berube watches onwards. And after 2, it is 2-1 Canes, wanting to take a 2-0 series lead. This is Travis Green's first season as the Senators head coach. It's his second playoff appearance as a head coach, 2020 with the Vancouver Canucks. For Craig Berube, it's his first year as the Maple Leafs head coach. Toronto snapped a 3-game losing streak in Game 1s. 2023 East quarterfinals, 2023 East semifinals, 2024 East quarterfinals. That's just the third time that they've won a Game 1 in the Matthews, Marner, Nylander era. Face-off is to the right of Ullmark, won by Tavares with help from Nylander. Riley sent one across for Carlo. Carlo delivers one deep, loose in front. Tavares couldn't fire that one home. In front, Holmberg! And that one trickled wide. From the far corner, Tavares scoops it up. Backhand out over for Holmberg. Or rather, Nylander, excuse me. In front, tapped in! Morgan Riley! And boy, did he really need that one. Not really an ideal season for his standards, but he gets it done when playoffs arrive, and he's put Toronto on the board. Excellent keep-in by the Leafs right off the face-off, and it just went across as Riley, who was right there, Johnny on the spot. It went off his skate, completely crossed the line. No kicking motion. And John Tavares, just in case, if that one didn't cross the line, but it did, he fired that one home for the chance. 13th career playoff goal for Riley, his second this series, right after the own goal late in the third period. Off this face-off, the Sens send it deep. Benoit, pursued by Amadio. Chips it to the near half boards where Lorentz is there. Lorentz sends it back for Benoit. Deflected up front by Järnkrok as both teams give chase. Quevin. 4-7 goals for the Leafs have been scored off offense's zone face-offs. In soccer terms, it's called set pieces. Up, and Riley trying to fend off Ridley Gregg. And we have a whistle. 15:46 remains. The check-in with the Devils and Hurricanes. The first goal scored by Jesper Bratt. The second one from Shane Gostisbehere, and the third from Jordan Martinook. So there was a bump in front. And John Tavares wanted to catch it in the case if it didn't go. Bratt from Eric Holla and Dougie Hamilton. Shane Gostisbehere from Jackson Blake and Sebastian Aho. As this faceoff is won by Toronto. Martinook from Dmitry Orlov. That's your scoring between Carolina and New Jersey. Matthews sends it in, and giving chase is Zub. Braces for contact from Nyes. At the near half boards, is sent out as the Sens move up. Sanderson, coast to coast, onto the left side, where's Brady Tkachuk. He falls down on the shot. Keeping it is Zub. Stoutswet delivers it back. Giroux, Tkachuk, Marner on his face, shot right in front, and Stolar's got a piece. Arm is up in the air, there's going to be a penalty. Brady Tkachuk may have taken a stick to the mouth, and Chris Tanev's like, what did I do? He has that look. Tanev did whack Tkachuk onto the mouth. Oh. It's going to be 2 minutes for high sticking for Tanev. And that's a valuable piece of the penalty kill. Not what you want if you're Toronto. Because he still won the best defensive defenseman in the NHL. At age 35. And Ottawa will get 2 minutes of power play time. Tkachuk, the Senators captain, will set up, and he'll take this faceoff opposite Scott Laughton. Or rather, Austin Matthews. Tkachuk is tossed out. Tim Stützle taking his place. To the right of Stolar. There's one by Stützle with help. Stützle drops it back. Waiting is Sanderson. Now goes for Stützle. Down low is Tkachuk. And over to the Swan. They go in front. Stolar's down. And keeps a hold of it 13 seconds into the penalty for Toronto. Stützle was setting up in front for Brady Tkachuk and Claude Giroux. But nothing was there to get this one out. Cousins was trying to go for the cross-ice pass. Going to be the recipient. It was Drake Bafferson. wanted to go for Cousins on the rink-wide pass. Stutzla chipped at it. Stolarz grabbed a hold of it with his glove. Matthews on another defensive zone draw. Another face-off win by the Sens. But a tie-up, and the Leafs do get a piece of it to clear. 20 seconds deep as Ottawa reset their own zone. Sanderson has trouble with it, and then moves it up for Bafferson. Bafferson through center, towards the left for Tkachuk. Brady Tkachuk closes in. Stolarz is there. Rebound loose. Stutzla pokes it backwards for Sanderson. Stutzla's reset at the top left corner. Sanderson fakes the drive. Wants to go back for Stutzla, but Matthews closes that off. In front! Rebound in front! Blocked by McCabe! Stolarz down against it! Whacking it behind the net! And it's cleared! Oh my goodness, what a sequence! Anthony Stolarz, what the save of the game early in this first period is dropped back. Both teams make changes as it's moved up as Greg is teabagged. And for the far half board, Stolarz will leave it out for Benoit. Leafs trying to clear, and they do. I can't believe Stolarz made both two miraculous saves in that same sequence, or different sequences. The Sens move it up for the far side. Giroux leads it for Perron. Two gritty veterans. And on for the right side, Zetterlund. Zetterlund fires, and it's gobbled up by Stolarz. And now more pushing and shoving. You remember this is the Battle of Ontario. This can get chippy here. And one of the Senators is clutching his upper body. Giroux wants to go at it. Greg is not okay. He is skating on his own power, but he doesn't seem to be alright. He goes to the bench to check up with Travis Green. He checked these last two sequences. How in the world did Anthony Stolarz fend off that horde of Senators right in front of us? The pass went right in front of Stolarz with Snow Angel, and it's poked away by Marner at the last moment. Oh, and Brady Tkachuk obviously wants to get under Mitch Marner's skin. There was some pushing and shoving between Benoit and everyone else. Off this face-off, the Leafs get to it. They cleared this one down. Sanderson will reset for the far half boards. Top unit is back out there for Ottawa. Drop back. And moving up through the right side is Cousins. Return feed too far for Stutzla. Matthews wants to backhand it out. Baseball batted down by Marner. Marner wants to get a second whack, and it's Cousins who delivers it immediately back for Stutzla. Stutzla sends this one inside. Penalty over. Stutzla across. Here's Tkachuk waiting. Saves Stolarz. The rebound was cleared out. 4 shots on that power play. The rink-wide pass went wide to Stutzla. Stutzla waiting. Then in front, here's Cousins. And that one airmailed. Stutzla on the keep. The power play unit is still out there. This is not a power play. Left circle shot. Blocked in front through traffic. Tanev's back out there onto the ice. Protecting away from Stutzla. And Tanev drops it back and can guide this puck to safety. Fans cheering here as everyone applauds this penalty kill. Up for the far half boards. The Leafs wanting to get this one down, but they are closed off. Row center. Nick Cousins tried to split the gap, but can't do so. Up at the far corner, the Leafs want to get this one out. Holmberg dangerously close to Stolarz. Trying to fake out the Senator. And it's poked out through the benches. Weaving his way through is Tavares. And here comes Pontus Holmberg. Quick shot fired wide. And at the far side is Nylander. Nylander at the top of the right circle around Cousins. Nylander rink wide. Touched up by a Senator, but held in by Riley. And around for Nylander again. It's at the opposite side. Nylander sets up one-timer. Made his way towards the crease. Oh, and was one of the least ever leveled right in front of the net by Thomas Chabot. That looked to be a Holmberg, and that's going to be a penalty. Pontus Holmberg went up and over as Mitch Marner rang the post. Tanev thought that went inside, but Morgan Riley doubles down on deflection off his skate. That's the only goal so far. Ottawa had many chances of the man advantage. Stolarz stood tall. We'll return in a moment here from Toronto. cheering outdoors when Morgan Riley scored the opening goal of this game. The Leafs had scored first 2 games in a row in this series, but how would the vibe look when they shift to Ottawa? The Sens have their plans greenlit for a new downtown arena which will break ground. But now as we settle back into Toronto, Scotiabank Arena leads to the power play as it's a tripping penalty against Chabot. Pinto, Gregg, Jensen, and Sanders are on the penalty kill for Ottawa. Nyes, Matthews, Tavares, Marner, and Nylander, all forwards on this Toronto power play. Sent back for Marner, who's a de facto defenseman here on the man advantage. Here's Nylander. Nylander at the left circle. He'll look in front. Now he'll look to the right side. Tic-tac-toe towards Marner, as Marner will go back for Tavares. Tavares scores! Johnny Toronto! From an impossible angle, not sure if that was deflected, but it doesn't matter, it's 2-0 Toronto! The towels wave here in Toronto to get Ian on board. This power play striking with precision, the one thing that the Sens want to avoid. As Tavares fires this one, it pinballed off of Nick Jensen, I believe. One off his back with Nyes saying the net front screen. Ullmark made the pad save, but it takes an unfortunate bounce off of Jensen. And as it's 2-0 Leafs in this Battle of Ontario is scorching up.
Yeah. Really, it just seems like the Battle of Ontario of series past. You know, Toronto always owning Ottawa. Just there doesn't seem to be any fight there.
Well, the fight that came late in the game. Well, Ottawa want to play their physical brand of hockey, but sometimes you gotta be level-headed. Don't take it way too seriously. Pass deflected away, but it's kept in the zone as Laughton delivers around for the near corner. Brady Tkachuk is there. Tkachuk, and down on his knees was Lorentz as it's bounced on short of Ekman Larson, held inside by Stützle, but guided to safety by McMahon. McMahon sends it back. Tyler Kleven delivers up front, and for John Tavares, his 25th career playoff goal. He has 2 overtime winners to his credit. Both series winners, one for the Islanders and one for the Maple Leafs that broke 19-plus year playoff droughts. One time from McMahon, blocked off. And so far, the Battle of Ontario in the playoffs, it's been with one result with the Leafs winning, but 2 of them have gone the full 7 games, both times with Toronto winning them. The last time we saw this, Mike Fisher forced the Game 7 with a double overtime winner as he set up at the side of the net. But then Joe Nieuwendyk fires 2 beach balls past Patrick Lalime, who was replaced in the 2004 Game 7. That was the last time the Leafs won a Game 7 in their franchise as Zetterlund sends this deep. Back at the far corner, Riley gets shoved by Bafferson, and at the far half boards, the Leafs wanting to go around. At the far corner, once again, Marner to Riley, rink wide, and it's fired down. Resetting are the Sens as Zetterlund takes this one across. Zetterlund is tied up. Marner dispossesses him and delivers this one backwards. Across the red line, and this was deflected away from Matthews, and then across back for Zub. Artem Zub sends it for Sanderson. Sanderson up front, and fired inside onto the near corner. Recollected by McCabe for Toronto. At the far half boards, nothing doing for the Sens, and now McCabe will reset for the Leafs. Goes by Holmberg and delivered deep for Matt-Paolo, who gets bumped. Through the far boards, Ottawa wants to reset. Is there a passing lane for them to maneuver? There is. Matt-Paolo wants to get it deep, but Giroux is quickly closed up. Claude Giroux tangled up near the Toronto bench. They'll send it backwards for Matt-Paolo. Matt-Paolo calmly towards the penalty box doors and fires his one around the horn. Picked up by McMahon. Bobby McMahon carrying this one inside. McMahon wants to get help. McMahon from tight goes to Domi. Domi Backwards for OEL. And here's Domi again. Domi flutters one towards the near quarter. Benoit on the hold. This trickles by Robertson. Giving chases Gaudet and McMahon. Stolen away. On the keep is Ekman Larson. Deep one-timer. Bounced off of Olmark. And is forced onto the far corner as Robertson took down Gaudet. Even the little guys are getting into the physicality. Backhander was blocked. And Jensen wants to get it for Cousins. But here come the Sens. Adam Gaudet gets this in deep. And he is blocked off on the dump-in. Sends change units. Benoit wants to get it to Ekman Larson. Lorentz with Jensen on his face. And it was cleared out off a deflection. It's 2-0 Leafs. Morgan Riley and John Tavares with the goals for Toronto.
Their Canes play later tonight, don't they?
We're playing right now.
Oh, you're playing right now?
Yep, and it's 2-1 Carolina.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah, your team is doing a lot better than mine.
Whew. That last when I watched the last game, that was hard to watch that ending. Yes, Winnipeg scored the game winner, but that was hard to watch when there's not really any chances towards the net.
The biggest problem they have is, number one, they can't sustain anything for 60 minutes, and apparently Dylan Holloway getting injured was the final nail in the coffin, because without him, they have no scoring depth, and if their first line is not coming through they're not scoring at all.
When the only goal comes from Jimmy Snuggerud, there are questions to ask about the lineup, about where the scoring is going to come from. Yes, Snuggerud got on the board for playoff career goal number 1, but nothing else.
There's also the little problem of the power play. You have, I believe it was 5 power plays, and you only convert on 1.
And against
Alex, I can't even begin to tell you how bad that is.
And against the Winnipeg penalty kill that looked questionable this season. Not really at the elite of the elite, but they were just meh for the entire season. Though they did make adjustments at the Four Nations break. They tried to improve that. But as we're getting back into action here in Toronto, Ottawa has allowed 5 of 8 goals in the series off offensive zone faceoffs. Here they win the draw. Jensen will deliver one first, deflected wide. Was not really a dangerous deflection as Matthews is tied up by Giroux, and Elise will take over. 2 on 3 as they dump this one down on the backhander across for the corner. Chabot, nice, tied him up, but is helped up by Jensen. Here's McCabe as he set the one up high. Nice. Hounds down Stutzla. Keeps this one alive as Marner faces for Matthews, who gets tied up. Matthews tries to shove away Giroux. Now goes one to Sens, and Chabot will take it up for the far side. Ottawa's just 1 power play. They didn't score on that one. And McCabe will leave for Tanev behind Stolars's crease. Shots are 7 for Ottawa, but 2 of those 4 shots from Toronto have found the back of the net. Tavares across, trying to weave his way through, but gets closed off by Zub. Holmberg at the near corner takes it away from Pinto. Riley across, and it's fed over to Carlo. Carlo in front. Olmark gobbled up that one. 6:45 to go in the opening frame. When we get to an intermission, I want to discuss about yesterday's games, because what in the world did we just witness?
Well, the Kings and the Oilers. That's I got nothing.
Me neither. Hard to find the words to describe such a classic playoff game. 6:31 to go as this was sent in. Was deflected off a body. Icy is called off. Sanderson shoved towards the near corner. Both teams continue to fight for the loose puck on this time at the near half boards. Nylander and Cousins going after it. Nylander shoved by Zub, and it's bounced at the near corner, where it's scooped up by Zub again. And we have a whistle. The whistle was on the other game. I have both games on at the same time. That's the beauty of multi-view. Here's Ekman Larsson who leads it up for Benoit, and here's Laughton across, fed up for Järnkrok. Järnkrok closes, right on Cousins. Down deep is Lorentz. Steven Lorentz sends it backwards for Morgan Riley, who couldn't hold his own. And he has to give chase all the way back. But Stolarz, he was way out of his crease to play this. Oh, it bounced up. Stolarz is in trouble. Towards the right point. God, that fires. Blocked off. Toronto's defense did the job there. Lorentz sends it back for Riley. Morgan Riley to Steven Lorentz again. Lorentz, a Stanley Cup champion with the Florida Panthers last year. Alongside Ekman Larsson. Quevin stick this one away. And over the near half boards is Zetterlund. Trade deadline acquisition from San Jose. And it's dumped in by Pinto, who got tackled by McCabe. And it's fed up for the far half boards and then back for McCabe. Down to the far half boards again. McMahon closed off. Chabot trying to fight off this puck. Domi also there. Gregg on the takeaway. Ridley Gregg. Questions about when he was gonna be on the lineup today or not. Well, he's in the lineup with Matthew Highmore slotting out. Amadio tried to backhand one. Puck came loose. Here's Jensen who fires, and Stolarz got a piece. Tanev is hounded at the near corner by Amadio. Gregg wanted the takeaway, but this bounced off of him. McCabe wanted to play this one out. McMahon tied up Jensen there, and a shove. This will send this one down through the ice off the Toronto clear, and both teams are able to make changes. 9-5 the shots in favor of the Senators. And at the far side, here comes the takeaway. Inside is Nyes. And that one may have been batted, but it's still in play. Benoit keeps the zone. Marner at the far half boards. Backhands one for Nyes. Or rather Matthews. Matthews turnaround shot. Bounced off of Olmark. And this will be recollected by Claude Giroux. Giroux intended for Jensen. And now this one fired deep. This takes a bounce. And Stolarz will grab a hold of it. Plays it to the far corner. And it's a battle. Poked loose by Toronto with Nyes controlling. Nyes backhands it deep, and he will change. Ottawa trailed by 2, despite outshooting Toronto. Drake Baptist on the ice. Good stick by Tavares to take it away. And on the odd man rush, it is Nylander who waits. He waited for too long as the Sens will go back up. From the middle of the ice, this one sent towards the near corner. Baptist poked it away, and up at the far half boards. Ottawa trying to give chase, but the Maple Leafs go back the other way. Riley let the game's opening goal. Down deep for Tavares. Tavares. Holmberg tied up. Tavares wanted to take it away. Holmberg stick this one away. Through the far boards. It's Nylander for Tavares. 3 Senators right on to his face. And Zetterlund will drop it back. Ottawa and Toronto will change again. Zub extended hold as his partner Sanderson goes to the bench. This one iced as McCabe was right in front of David Perron. 2 minutes, 58 seconds remain here in this first period. And it's still a 2-1 game at Raleigh. With Carolina trying to take a 2-0 series lead on New Jersey. 9-6 the shot advantage in favor of the Senators, but it's the Leafs that have controlled the pace of play throughout this game here. Quick shot went wide, and it will be scooped up by Nick Cousins, who ended Toronto's season 2 years ago while a member of the Florida Panthers. McCabe sends it to the far half boards, and is fed up through the ice as the Sens recollect from their own bench. A stick check here from Domi, and he'll send it backwards to OEL. Through the penalty box doors to Benoit, who delivers it cross quarter, and will be picked up by Tyler Klevin, who carved out an everyday role on the Senators team. Up the far boards as the Leafs back check, and Amadio was closed off. Toronto takes it away near their bench. Benoit backhands one as this was Baseball batted inside. Chabot beats out Järnkrok, no icing because it was deflected in. For the near corner, this is Lorentz who fires it around onto the right point. Ekman Larsson delivers it down deep for Laughton, but it was taken away by Ottawa. Ekman Larsson on another keep at the right point, but all sorts of sends were there. Pinto on the takeaway. Ottawa trying to find a response here. Chabot will take it across, stopped at the right point. Toronto did lead 2-0 in Game 1. Ottawa did score the next goal, with Drake Batherson scoring the first Ottawa playoff goal since Ryan Dzingel in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Final in 2017. Sent up to the ice for Brady Tkachuk, and getting bumped towards the wall was McCabe. Around for the far corner, Stutzla gives chase. Bounced on through Toronto as they'll scoop this back up, and they'll recollect as they retreat. Matthews back on the ice. 1:20 to go. Bruce center ice as Martyr had trouble. Zetterlund moving it. He is stymied by McCabe. Zetterlund still going after it, but lost out the puck battle to Matthews. Austin Matthews from the red line sends it to the near corner. This actually will be ice, and with 1:04 to go, it will be that much time left. It turns out there's going to be penalties here in the Carolina-New Jersey game. It'll be Jordan Staal to the box. Yes, he did trip up Nico Hischier. Actually, they're not going to call it an icing, but nonetheless, we're going to follow along with the Carolina-New Jersey game as the Canes are back on the PK. This time about Staal, a key face of that penalty kill. And the Devils are back on the power play. We'll see if the Canes can make it 2 shorthanded goals. If they did get some shorthanded magic and a Marty party. So this is a live look. We're stepping away from the Toronto game for the moment. So this 5-man unit consisting of Hischier, Bratt, Nason. I believe Dougie Hamilton's out there. Timo Meier is the 5th man on that unit. The Hischier will go down low, looks behind the crease. Baits it up for Bratt. Bratt moves across, and we're back here. Closing seconds as Nyes. Nyes pokes away from all sorts of Senators, and Nyes trying to give chase on Chabot, but the Sens try to keep it. This one was not sticked away by Toronto icing, and the Leafs will get an offensive zone faceoff. Matthews voicing his concerns. So get dual vision throughout. So the one-timer was fought off from Hamilton. The rebound, oh my goodness. And now we'll get back underway here. Ekman Larsson towards the right side. Sent out to the goal. Omar covered it up. Freddie Anderson has been poised here between Carolina and New Jersey. Still 2-0 Toronto. They've just taken a shot away from the Senators. 25.7 to go as the referees had to separate these two rivals. In the 4 previous series, Freddie Anderson, what a beaut. And between the previous 4 playoff series, here's how it ended. 6 games, 4 games, 7 games, 7 games. Off the face-off, the Senators want to clear it down. Glove down by Gregg as he moves it up quickly. And Tavares, he took down Gregg. That's going to be an Ottawa power play for the second time. They didn't score on the first one, but there's the moment which they have to score now. It's here. Or was it a penalty? No, they're going to say it's not a penalty. But I thought it very well could have. This actually wasn't offside against the Sens. And so this faceoff will come outside of the Toronto zone. 17.1 on the clock. The 4th line still out there for the Leafs. Travis Green utilizing his third lines. Pinto wins the draw. Sends it near side for Chabot. And Stolarz, oh my, he ran himself into trouble. And pushing and shoving as Amadio wants a piece of Ekman Larsson. Oliver Ekman-Larsson previously an offensive defenseman, but this year around his two-way game, along with last year, more comfortable playing in sheltered minutes under Paul Maurice and continuing on with Craig Berube. That favors him very well. 12.1 on the clock. That took 7 seconds in between stoppages. Anthony Stolarz. Off this face-off, the Sens win this from the left place. Fired in deep. Rebound in front. And that's another 7 seconds off the clock. Carolina's going to another power play as Jackson Blake got tripped up at the goal mouth. Well, that looked to be a close call. Jacob Slavin, of course, doing Jacob Slavin things, says he's a premier stalwart defenseman. And Jacob Markstrom did trip up Jackson Blake. This will be the last face-off, we hope, before the first intermission report. Marner's tossed out, Matthews slots in. This face-off is a tie-up, and it's played towards the corner, and the Leafs will pick it up. And they'll keep this a 2-0 lead after 1. This is where we're at. After 20 minutes of action, the Maple Leafs lead 2-0. Morgan Riley and John Tavares the goals, and we're not done yet. Chris Tanev had some words post-period on Brady Tkachuk. Tkachuk shaking his head after the scuffle. And Tkachuk, he did bump into John Tavares, and Tanev took exception to that. And Tkachuk is a pest. Do remember this. When we come back, it's the first intermission report. Here on the Stanley Cup Playoffs, I am Alec Nava. Stay tuned, everyone. To get you back on board here, Ian, we are at the first intermission. So far it's 2-0 Toronto, but Carolina is getting a power play in their game.
Excellent. That is excellent.
So as for last night, wait, go ahead.
Oh, nothing. Just, well, speaking of last night, if you don't mind, I'll go first.
All right.
The Blues are in a 2-0 hole against the Winnipeg Jets. They had their chances to steal those games, to steal one of those games, and they couldn't play for a full 60 minutes. Game 1 especially showed it. Up 3-2, and you only score, and you only shoot it, you only get 2 shots on goal the entire period. Meanwhile, the Winnipeg Jets come back and score 3 unanswered to beat you. And then game 2, they keep doing the dump-in pass. You know what I'm talking about. Where they flick it down cross ice to try and and spring somebody. The problem is, by the time the third period hits, no one has the legs for it anymore. And without Dylan Holloway, they have no scoring depth.
That hurts a lot.
And it just shows that they still have a lot of weaknesses on their team. I don't think it will be a regular sweep. However, a gentleman's sweep is not out of the question.
Don't want either of those, which way or one way or another. But you still want to make this a competitive series. But what I had the feeling is that the first game was sort of a track meet style of game, back and forth. But the second one was a grueling game, a more physical type of game. And whichever way it goes, ouch.
Yeah, it was rough. say the least. It was rough.
Oh my goodness, Markstrom.
Yeah, but you know what? That's enough about the Blues. Let's get to the main events of those nights. I recommend before we get to that game, let's talk about the fact that the Canadiens are trying to be the agents of chaos the league needs.
Yeah. Oh. Well, as we go over it, in the first two periods, it was all Washington. They dominated Montreal in those first two periods. Let's get this straight. Anthony Beauvillier was elevated to the top line with Alex Ovechkin and Dylan Strome because of an injury to Alexei Protas on the second line. Tom Wilson gets bumped down to the second line, Ryan Leonard to the third line. So let's put Beauvillier on the top line. And that worked out. Instant chemistry with Ovechkin and Strome. And Beauvillier has a knack for being a playoff performer. If you go back to his days with the New York Islanders, he scored the last ever goal at Nassau Coliseum. And he scored the second goal for Washington. And Washington was getting chances at the net front. Ovi did the thing too on the power play. So that helps out a ton. Then you get to the third period, where Montreal's high-end talent manages to tie the game up. And it's Cole Caulfield off a Patrick Laine shot that bounced off of two Washington defenders. And then Caulfield gets the rebound up front. Nick Suzuki catches Logan Thompson way out of his net. This wasn't even if you're a goaltender tend to goal. This was the old Bacon Country aggressive goalie move that Thompson tried. And it bit him.
Yeah, and of course, in overtime, say the line, Alec.
He did the thing.
He did the thing again. Okay. From this, one game isn't enough, but good Lord, if anyone's going to beat the Capitals, they're going to have to make sure Ovechkin never reaches his office.
Yeah, that means they need to prioritize him. Probably send two defenders towards Ovechkin so that he doesn't fire a one-timer from the left circle. You have to prioritize that if you're Montreal. The Habs defense isn't really known for defense, but they do have some key defensive defensemen on the team like Caden Goulet and David Savard, who, by the way, Savard will be retiring after this season. He announced that this year will be his last. And also, if you want to get some scoring chances, go to your go-to guys. But you also want your others to step up at 5-on-5. Most of the time, you're relying on your big weapons to do most of the yeoman's work in Caulfield, Suzuki, Lane Hudson, and Yuri Slafkovsky. But Marty St. Louis trusts those four a lot to deliver in the biggest moments.
Agreed. So let's see. It was Montreal, Washington, Blues, Winnipeg. Who was the other one before? Help me out here. Before the Kings and Oilers. Oh, it was Stars and Avalanche.
Yes.
And I believe the Stars tied the series.
They did. Though before getting to that, it's crazy to think that this was actually Alex Ovechkin's first career playoff overtime winner. 20 years in the league, and he scored his first one in the playoffs. And it took Sidney Crosby a while to score his first career playoff overtime winner. That was 9 years ago. But Ovi, what else can't he do?
Wait. What? I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, I have that same reaction. That doesn't feel real at all. As we go.
It does not. Congratulations, Alex Ovechkin.
Oh, Jordan Martinook's hurt, but he's playing through the pain. He blocked the shot of his ankle. Ouch. Ow. Yeah, that is a big resounding ow. Dallas and Colorado. That one was a back and forth affair. When John and I did the game, covered the first game of this series, we wondered, where was the offense going to come from for Dallas? This game, we had our answer. And they needed this win because Without Robertson and Heiskanen, your offense is taking a hit, but you should be able to make this competitive. We had some of our answers. Tyler Seguin, Thomas Harley. Those are two of your main guys that you want to fill out the score sheet and light the lamp. Yevgeny Dadonov off a net front battle with Wyatt Johnston collecting a loose puck off a board scrum. But what I want to note from Colorado, despite the losing effort, was how good the fourth line played in that game. They were everywhere on the ice, making life hard for the Stars, and even scoring with Jack Drury and Logan O'Connor.
Agreed. Wow, Tyler Seguin again. The guy just never seems to go away.
He was on pace for his best points output since the 2019 season, the lone full season for Dallas under Jim Montgomery before he got fired, and then subsequently entering the substance abuse program to take care of his alcohol problems. But his bounce back into coaching is remarkable, to say the least. But now as we go on to the rest of it, both goaltenders were amazing. Despite what the scoreline may think, Jake Ottinger and Mackenzie Blackwood were phenomenal in that game. Oh, Freddie Anderson with 2 big saves. But both Ottinger and Blackwood were phenomenal last night, and they paved the way to what was outstanding sequences. Especially Blackwood, who robbed Mason Marchment from point blank. Marchment received the cross-ice feed from Seguin, and that save kept the game alive. But I'll ask you, did anyone have Colin Blackwell scoring the game winner on their bingo card? I don't think anyone had that.
No. I don't think anyone... Colin Blackwell, is he a defenseman or is he a forward?
He's a fourth line forward.
So, wait. The fourth line grinder is the one that scores the game winning goal.
You may be cutting up a bit, but yes, he was the one scoring the game-winning goal. I can't believe it. First playoff game he's played for the Stars, and he scored the overtime winner. He was just slotted into the lineup, and he scored the game winner.
Strange things are afoot in the NHL playoff.
Oh yes, they are. A lot of strange things in the playoffs. With Blackwell, the OT winner. Whew. Oh my goodness. Well, they're not done.
All right.
Now the main event. Markstrom, stay your net. Let's say the main event. I thought for sure the Kings had this game locked up when they were up 4-0 on the Oilers. I thought for sure that it was game over that late in the second period. And I thought for sure that they would have this in the bag. But, let's say the least, momentum's a funny word in hockey. But this game almost looked to be the miracle on Manchester in reverse. But then you get to late in the game. But let's get this here. Kings score 4 unanswered to start off. Leon Draisaitl receives a one-time feed to put it within 3. Matthias Janmark on a net front scramble. 4-2. Oilers commit 2 penalties. They go down by 2 players. Kings get a 5-on-3. Kevin Fiala scores on the 5-on-3. The Oilers kill off the second penalty. A wrench was thrown into comeback plans as Jake Wallman commits a delay of game penalty. And the Oilers unsuccessfully challenged the penalty. Though I can understand it because It was borderline. It may have bounced off the top of the glass. So the challenge was understandable. Officials were not having it. So it's another 5-on-3 for the Kings. Oilers kill it. And then Corey Perry scores. But that was before the 5-on-3. Corey Perry scores to make it a 2-goal game. And then late in the game, Zach Hyman gets one back. McDavid outweighted Drew Doughty. Sent the puck to Hyman, who banked this to the back of the nets. Then McDavid, speeding down the near side, goes by Mikey Anderson, banks the pass off the boards to himself around Anderson, gets the puck to himself, fires it short and fires it to the far side, ties the game up at 5, and it seems we're going to overtime. And then Stuart Skinner couldn't stop the softest knuckle puck ever. Are you kidding me? That wasn't even a strong shot from Philip Deneau. That was the softest knuckle puck that we've ever seen. You couldn't even stop that shot?
You know what?
You there? Uh-oh. Right. You there? All right. Yeah, connection issues have been going around for a while. Oh, whoops. Whoops. Oh, damn it. Well, that was a mistake. Okay, we're getting Ian back on here. Everything is glitching out here on the space. I made a mistake. That's my bad. Yeah. All right, is everything working?
Maybe.
All right, I can hear you loud and clear. So get back onto the Kings and Oilers. That ending was crazy, but I still can't believe that Stuart Skinner couldn't stop the softest knuckle puck ever.
Yeah, that was, wow.
Yeah, wow is right. Looking at that. That's why the Stanley Cup playoffs are the best playoffs ever.
Agreed.
Yeah. On a night that has seen a lot of tight contests between both postseasons, every NHL game yesterday decided by 1 goal. And of course, that's not to mention about the 2 results from yesterday in the NBA slate, but the Pistons getting their first postseason win since 2008 and to snap their 15-game playoff losing streak, and the Clippers even it up on the Nuggets. Kawhi Leonard is the Terminator after all.
I guess so. I'm only really paying attention to the Thunder and to see if the Rockets can beat the Warriors. Well, and the Lakers.
Oh, would that matter? Well, a lot of casual fans would. Well, close to getting back into action. Oh, those banners for the retired jersey numbers look nice. 44.3 left in the third period, and an update, no scoring, but Carolina is holding their own on the defensive end. They're giving the Devils have been giving them everything they've got this time around, but the Canes are holding their own at bay like a rock solid walrus in net.
A rock solid walrus.
Oh
I'm
my!
gonna get this man on radio right now.
44.3 left, and Sheldon Keefe is going to take his time out. No longer the head coach of the Maple Leafs, now the head coach of the Devils. But as we speak of the Maple Leafs, Craig Berube, former head coach of the Flyers and the Blues, bringing his postseason experience, and we're underway. Leafs going from left to right into all blue. Sens in the white jerseys with the black sweatpants going from right to left. As in the case in overtimes, in those home games, the Sens take it across. This one forced wide as Riley will scoop it up at the far corner. Bounced up, and the Sens will scoop it up at their own as Quevin's there. 4-4 the scoring chances. After one period, hits are 16-10 Ottawa. On the power play, the Sens are 0 for 3. The Leafs are 4 of 7. Shot for the far half boards was deflected out 37 seconds into the second period. So, another look at Freddie Anderson. He's been in solid tonight, stopping 24 of 25. Doesn't have to go God mode like he did at Anaheim, but he's been serviceable enough to get them to this position. And this will be sent down. The Canes can just coast this one home. Yes, sir. Seth Jarvis. Off this face-off. It is the Leafs at center ice, moving this one across to the near side. Oh my goodness! At the near half boards, getting tossed around like a rag doll. Once Pontus Holmberg as Bafferson takes this one the other way. Dylan Cousins couldn't steamroll past one of the Leafs, and we'll see this one go up for the far half boards. This one bounced up and out of play. But Seth Jarvis seals the deal for Carolina. They'll go up 2-0 in their series.
Excellent. I'm not in a position to do it. Let's see. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes.
Blah, 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 da, 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 da. Run, 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 da, 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 da.
The brass bonanza must continue to take the league by storm. Oh, here's one more for... Oh, I thought it was one more for good measure. But anyway, I can take a 3-1 victory heading into Game 3. Keep coming to our games.
Absolutely. Let's go. Like I said, Alec, if it ain't my Blues, it must be your Hurricanes.
Indeed. And I can't wait for... I wonder if they're going to do the storm surge. But so far as we go to the far side, offside against Ottawa. And puck drop for Florida and Tampa is at 8:48 Eastern Time. Teams who have taken a 2-0 series lead at best of 7 have won 86% of the time. They all salute Freddie. As they salute him for a job well done in back-to-back victories. 4-1 in Game 1. 3-1 in Game 2. Shot for the right circle, that one wide the net. Then skip by Stolars. Pinto keeping his one side. One-timer, Gray gets turned away. Rebound chance, blocked in front. And up for the right point, this is held inside. Sanderson claps one. Stolars holds his zone and covers. And now the Battle of Florida will get started in just a moment as the Lightning and the Panthers take the ice. Oh. This will be an amazing sight at Tampa. They're all blue. But has its fair share of Panthers fans too. Those making a trip through the I-75. Bounces up and is chopped away at by Järnkrok, but able to hold his own with Sanderson. Zub, deep shot. There was some traffic in front. Couldn't get by there. The Sens trying to take this one back, but it's poked at it. And Ottawa will move this back up entry feed for the far half boards. Getting turned around is one of the Senators. They keep a hold of it. Matanpalo finds Quevin. And then back for Matanpalo. Matanpalo fires it. It's blocked in front. And it's cleared out. Quevin will get to it at his own blue line. Matthew Tkachuk will play tonight for the Panthers. As it's dropped back from Stützle. And now gets a return feed. Back out in front from the far corner. Delivers it back over to Matanpalo. Quevin holds it. Winds it up. Fakes a shot. Oh, down goes one of the Senators. That's going to be a penalty. That'll put Ottawa back on the power play. Simon Benoit tripped this man. Has his neck guard with him. And so Travis Green will have to get his guy set on the man advantage. Easy call. As he was tangled up on the legs. Stützle, that is. And that's going to be called every time. They're actually not going to call Benoit. They're going to call it on Järnkrok. And that puts Ottawa on the man advantage where they have not scored on their previous 3 attempts. They got 2 in the first game. 1 in this game earlier. But they have yet to find the back of the net in this series. Sanders sends one out to the right side. That is gloved down by Stolars as Matthews tried to block that one off. Dylan Cousins, excuse me. It's easy to confuse the two of them because their jerseys have a number 2. And for a moment I thought it was Giroux. Dylan Cousins taking this from deep. Cousins has thrived here in Ottawa. Josh Norris, meanwhile, injuries. Through the far half boards. This one knocked down. And this will be a one-on-one break for Toronto as there's no whistle. Kerwin drag shot was blocked off. And the Sens will go back. Here comes the rush. 3 on 2. Brady Tkachuk. Traffic right in front. No deflection towards the net. It was wide. For the far corner, Cousins keep this one inside. Bounced up and it goes back for Sanderson. At the top of the right circle, Marner slides one across over to Stützle. No shot from Sanderson. Here's Cousins. Then the pass in front was deflected wide the crease. Sanderson will reset. On the left point. Across for Cousins again. Bounced out in front and Tkachuk tried to crowd a rebound. Maverson elevates one. Stolars shut it off. Through the far half boards is held inside again. Stützle for Sanderson. Who waits. Stützle one more time. He looks at the high slot. Sanderson. Cousins one more time. Matthews is watching. Going down low for Tkachuk. And Stolars fought it off. And the Leafs clear it. 45 seconds left on the power play. Matthews gets the clear. He'll get a chance to exit out. Nyes re-enters. And Ottawa will restart on this man advantage. Giroux to the right. Dropped off from Greg. And here is Chabot. Chabot will move for the far half boards. Now once again for Chabot. To the right side, Giroux. Giroux wanted to go in front. Here's Greg, and he's turned away by Stolars. Now back over to Chabot. Giroux. Claude Giroux looks. Saves Stolars as Perron grabs it. With 10 on the power play. Perron poked away at it, but recollected in near corner. Giroux can't hold his own as the Leafs get it all the way down, and it's going to run out the rest of the power play, or so we thought. There were some bodies towards the goal crease at the Toronto at the ice. Ridley Gray got shoved by one of the Leafs. This was getting ugly at the tail end of last game. And we're seeing chippiness here. You know this is a rivalry. And these two teams hate each other so much. Ridley Gray took 2 shoves from Anthony Stolars and then a third whack on a stick. Stolars visibly upset at Greg as he was pestering the net front. Oh, and then he delivers an uncalled for nasty check at the front. Greg and Stolars each are penalized. And so it'll be coincidental minors for roughing. It'll be 2 seconds of power play time for the Senators. This will not count towards ice time. It'll be 5 on 5. once the penalty is over, and Craig will serve his 2-minute minor inside the penalty box. Calle Järnkrok will serve the penalty that's committed by Qtrs. Leafs fans on their feet, waving their towels here. A sea of blue. We are 4:54 into this second period. It turns out that this site had a lot of majesty on this rivalry. Only goals come from Morgan Rielly and John Tavares. And Tavares wants an explanation to the officials. And it's still waving their towels here. And they're stopping because at this point, their arms might be getting exhausted. So the officials are double checking the penalties. Gord Dwyer and Pierre Lambert, 19 and 25. In the scene as well as James Tobias, 61. One of the two linesmen. The other is Trent Knorr. Craig Berube watching onwards. As Craig is in the box. And Scott Laughton gets an additional penalty. Well, that's actually Laughton who's still in the box. So Järnkrok joining Laughton at the sin bin as the officials are sorting everything out here in terms of penalties. Shots are 17-8 Senators. But it's still a 2-0 Leafs lead. The defense coming out on top here for Toronto. And a strange territory for the Leafs because this time they're the more experienced team in the playoffs. This is their 9th straight year of making the postseason in this current era. And finally, after the long stoppage, we're back here. Full strength, we're back to 5-on-5. 4 shots on the last power play. That's been the same case in their first power play of this game. Amadio looks to set up in front for a shot with the left circle. And that one wide. Held inside by Zub. Around towards the far corner. That's a Matt scramble at the front and Qtrs will keep it. And in game time between the Bolts and Panthers, both of these goaltenders, of course, had long reputations of being clutch in the regular season and being standouts among the league's elite. Bobrovsky is 36 years old, however. 1-1-0 against the Lightnings, 4 goals against on 57 shots. He's looked rather human this year, but would it be a sign of age or a fallback? Maybe yet to be determined, but he is 36, remember that. Vasilevsky with a 218 GA as we get back here from Toronto. Quick shot from the top of the right circle. Qtrs got that one as well. Thomas Chabot, the last shot. And the opening draw, it will be Braden Point and Alexander Barkov. In the Battle of Florida. They'll be covering the Battle of Florida on Saturday. That's an afternoon game. Off this face-off, this gets held back deep for Chabot. Chabot around for the Boars, recollected right behind the net. They grab away at it. Still poking this loose puck. And it goes over to the far corner. And both teams still racing for it. On the right point, the Sens want to hold it. But this bounces up and it's out down, but it's a whistle. Everyone's back here for Florida. Many of them took rests late in the regular season so as to rest up to prepare for a deep run. Qtrs maintaining a 19-save shutout, one of his best performances so far. "50 saves on 52 shots for 2 games, 962 save percentage. That's for his first 2 games. As this is won by the Leafs, they'll look to move it up through the far side, and they do. Deflected inside, this will land with Olmark, who plays out for Chabot, double teamed, and he'll go towards the near side, now middle. Up the near side, Giroux. Claude Giroux is closed off. Tkachuk puts on a shove, and down goes himself and one of the Leafs. They're still trapped behind the play, as the Leafs are essentially on a 4-on-4, up until Tkachuk and with the other Leaf return to action. Domi gets shot by Jensen, and Domi wanting to escape with this puck. Jensen would not let him, but McMahon escaping with it. Away from Stützle. Deep shot from Carlo, bounced out in front. And the Sens recollect it, and they'll corral this one up front. Entering the zone with some sifty moves, patient with the puck. Fired wide as Chabot keeps this one inside. From near to far on along the half wall. Sotswa fighting Zub, one-timer, fired wide. Cleared out by Robertson, Zub able to hold it. This goes down low, around for the boards, in front for Stolars. Hold on. And cover for the stoppage. And we'll have to break. 2-0 Toronto still at this stage of the second period after many stoppages. We'll be right back.
Okay, well, Ottawa has not made any progress in tying up the game. We'll have to see what they do.
It'll be interesting because, while they got the majority of the shots, that stat can be deceiving because what matters is the high danger looks. Toronto got high danger looks with their chances. Once Ottawa has theirs, they wanted to go towards the nets. They did so several times through net front scrambles, but those were few and far in between.
So, Alec, I need to ask you, do you think the OKC Thunder are going to get charged for poaching? Because I feel like you can't do what they did to the Grizzlies in Game 1, and they're doing it again in Game 2.
And Game 1 was with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander laying a stinker. But the Grizzlies, they're just not that good of a team. Mind you, John Morant said that he's fine in the West. And I'll say to that, you sure, buddy? After what happened in Game 1? And what happened in the last few years? You sure, buddy?
Yeah. He talks. Look, he's a great player. Talent galore. But he needs to learn how to keep his mouth shut until... the Grizzlies... Well, what's the most relevant thing the Grizzlies have done outside of drafting John Morant?
Make it to the... They won a series as an 8th seed in 2011, last I remember. And I remember one time they made the conference finals. I can't remember, but that was in the previous era with Marc Gasol and Mike Conley.
Right, they did do that. But since then, they've really done nothing at all.
Yeah, really. Back here, and with more than 6 minutes gone here, we're closing on 7 minutes gone as Nye sends it backwards. Carlo and Riley restart for their own zone. On for the far corner as Carlo sends it deep. Bounced down for Riley. Settled down by Zetterlund. Fabian Zetterlund almost intercepted, but he bouncing off the stanchion at the near half boards. And it goes down low for Riley. Morgan Riley towards the wall as Matt Nyes was there. Bounced away at, and Carlo both send us to the near half boards. A tie-up. Bouncing up. Will be recollected by Nyes at the left point as the Sens do make changes. Leafs trying to attack the net. Marner was there, so was Matthews. But escaping with this is Sanderson. Sanderson for the far half boards. He'll dump this one inside. Toronto recollects it. Benoit away from the play. Shots are 9-2 Ottawa in this period. 10-7 in the first period, also in favor of Ottawa. Passes glove down by Chabot. And we moved up for the near half boards, sent in deep by Perron. A tie-up, and this will be scooped back up by Holmberg. Sent all the way across for Nylander. William Nylander sends onto the play for the swat. Closed off at the backhander was Tavares. Bounced up, and Benoit was unable to hold the zone. Sent it backwards for Ekman Larson. And up front for William Nylander. Backwards now once again. Now up front again. Tavares. This takes a bounce. Tavares is tied up. Joining the rush is Holmberg. And this exits the zone. The Sens trying to send this down the distance, which they will. Stolars will leave it for Tanev. And out for the far side, Ekman Larson is closed off. Speeding down the far side, Järnkrok. Calle Järnkrok trying to get his own dump in. But Ottawa rides first. Nick Cousins. Rink wide pass up for the zone. Cousins tried to find cutting Zetterlund. And Zetterlund tried to split the defense. That didn't work past this stingy Leaf defense. Up front, Steven Lorentz As this was gloved down 3-on-2 here. Up for the middle, McCabe. Can't get anything done there, and this ends up at the near corner. Tyler Clevin. Clevin holding onto the puck. Will send this down deep. Backhander. This went over the head of Cousins, and Mitch Marner will settle this one down. The core four still here for the Leafs. And this is Carlos saying that's for the near head afterwards. Will be played out of the cage by Olmark. Bounced up. And a tie-up. Swiped away at, but it's still kept in. Bouncing up for the far half boards is Matthews. Matthews is spun around onto the right side. It is Carlo. Carlo shot. Rebound. Came to the swat. The Sens pick it up. They'll move it back the other way. Pinto sending this deep. Amadio first to retrieve it. Away from Carlo. And from Pinto! Blocked off. He'll get his own rebound back. Looks to go to the point, but there was nobody there. Out of position was Zub. Artem Zub will restart for Ottawa. Ian Sanderson back deep. Look to get it up front. Ekman Larson there. Backhand this one out for Tavares. John Tavares sends this up front for Pontus Holmberg as this bounces towards the slot where he's scooped up by the Sens. And up for the far half boards, Ottawa re-enters 3-on-3. Tim Stützle takes it up high, kicked out, rebound, and swept away by Tavares. John Tavares leads the way up the far side. Sends this to the near corner. Thomas Chabot closes out Pontus Holmberg in front of Tavares, stopped by Olmark. That was a close call there for Olmark as Holmberg cuts towards the slot. That one poked away by the Sens with 9:30. Off the bench boards, the Leafs will scoop it back up. Chris Tanev. Tanev slows up. Tanev waits and then moves it up. Gets it right back off a body. Max Domi for the swap. Fires it. That went off someone. Nick Robertson keeps it in. Domi. Pass broken up and the Sens will take it back. And again for the rush here. 3-on-2. 2-on-2 now. Perron. That went off of Stolarz' pads. Perron puts on the body on one of the Leafs as Ottawa reset. Up the near side. Bafferson. Controlling on the backhand. Now the forehand was Cousins. Sends this behind Stolarz' crease. Cousins tried to play. Could not. And it's bounced up. Clevin tried to feed this one. But the play's whistled dead for a hand pass. That'll take us to our second break where we get our first scoring update of the Battle of Florida. The Panthers strike first. And early in this game, it is 1-0 Florida for the defending champs.
Yep, a quick look at the NBA picture. The Pacers are kicking the Bucks around the court. Same thing with the Thunder doing it to the Grizzlies again.
Well, here's the irony. Sam Bennett scored the first goal at the Panthers for the Panthers regular season. He also scored the first goal of the Panthers postseason this year.
Mans is a man of firsts.
With a beautiful mustache one of the best. Oh, one of the linesmen got hit in the Battle of Florida. He's down.
Oh boy, that's been happening quite a bit actually. It's concerning, to say the least. Do not hurt Wes McCauley.
Please no.
Hockey gods, do not touch Wes McCauley. That man is a national treasure. Don't do it.
Oh my good. Yeah, first time around was Brett Howden, who incidentally ran into one of the linesmen in the Vegas, Minnesota first game. So as we head back, taking you back to Toronto, where the Maple Leafs lead 2-0. Try to get my feed reset, and turns out the official is okay. He's wearing the number 50, but he's skating around and he's talking to Nikita Kucherov. It's a complete accident, so no penalties are given out. Come on. But it's such... I give the referee a penalty shot. It may be only fitting. Of course, it's a joke, but
Oh, no, it's good. It's good.
I know it's a joke, but I would love to see the referee take a penalty shot. Give him a stick and see if he can score. All right, we're back here. And the Leafs control, trying to move it from left to right. Alec Nava, Ian Genge here, play-by-play and color respectively. Ottawa is out-shooting Toronto 10-3 in the second period. None of that's led to goals between this period and the first period. Tkachuk can't hold the zone, but they'll exit this one out. Tkachuk up for the far side. The Leafs are shutting this one down. Brandon Carlo is back at his own near corner. Morgan Riley now the far side as there's a tie-up. Two centers there. Scott Laughton escapes with it. Out through center as Ekman Larsson controls on his back end. Or rather, it's not Ekman Larsson, but he got bumped anyway. And back deep in his own zone is Nicholas Madenpalo. Sends this one deep. Takes a bounce. Stolarz out of his crease to play this. Ekman Larsson forced off by Amadio as the Leafs come back with this through the far side. Racing it with numbers is Benoit through the far corner. Simon Benoit wanted to center. Looks to go to the corner. Now back to the point. Ekman Larsson decides to put the shot on, but that one rides the wall. Sens trying to clear, but they're trapped. Chabot to Jensen. Not out as the Leafs hold the zone through the far half boards. Ottawa finally manages to get it out. Chabot calmly across the line towards the right side for Gregg. Ridley Gregg stops at the far corner and scooped it from Gretzky's office. Out in front. Amadio can't hold it. Chabot could. He defers to Jensen. Nick Jensen puts one towards the net. Blocked. Amadio controlling on his backhand. That gets it backwards. For the left side, Chabot waits. Fires. Stopped by Stolarz. Chabot gets it back. Wrap around. And Stolarz may have got a piece of that one. Riding to the near side is Tavares. Running out the puck, but gets it back. Backhands it down deep. Olmark starts being subbed for Nick Jensen. And the Senators will want to get this one within one. Stolarz out of his cage. Sends it to the far corner. Banks it off the glass for Nylander. Nylander sends this down inside. Careful enough to not ice it. Zub, the first one to retrieve for Ottawa. The Ottawa Senators looking to get two here, like what Montreal did against Washington last night. Hopefully with different results this time around, given that the Canadiens lost in the third minute of overtime to Alex Ovechkin, scoring his first career playoff overtime winner. Near the half boards, this one bounced up at the left point. The Sens trying to keep it, but they can't. And Drake Batherson will restart his own zone, and then will feed it up. Dylan Cousins retreats all the way back in his own zone. Ottawa thinks about it as they send up for the far half boards. Brady Tkachuk is shut off. And then back deep come the Maple Leafs. Up the near side, a shove on Robertson. Robertson trying to hold it. Pass through Quevin. Oh, that looked like Quevin got high sticked. And Ottawa will move it back from right to left. Giroux towards a cutting Tim Stützle. Stützle can't get the shot away. There's an arm up in the air, and that's for the high stick on Robertson. Quevin holds the point. 6-on-5 now until a score or a touch by Toronto. And there's a touch by Toronto. And Robertson will spend 2 minutes in the box for high sticking. This will give the Senators their fifth power play of the series, and they still have yet to score on a man advantage. And as such, we'll go to break here. Ottawa to the man advantage. So meanwhile, Matthew Tkachuk gets a penalty for the Panthers. That's uncalled for from Tkachuk. I know you're a pest, but when you're playing a physical style, you cannot make hits like that when the opponent that you're trying to check has his back towards you and in a vulnerable position. You cannot make that. To check in with the rest. Of course, we have the Panthers, Lightning right now. The Milwaukee Bucks have cut it to within 11 on the Indiana Pacers. So don't go yet. That game's going to go tight. The Thunder and Grizzlies at 12-point margin. After the Thunder jumped out to a large lead. And this will be a 2-minute power play for the Senators. 5th one of this series. But they have yet to score on the man advantage. Tyler Kleven's okay. No blood came out of him. And Robertson will spend 2 minutes in the sin bin. 5:17 to go in the middle frame. You can imagine that Ottawa, the city of Ottawa, is watching onwards and see what happens. Tkachuk, Stutzla, Cousins, Bafferson, Sanderson is the top power play unit for the Senators. Off this face-off, this is a tie-up at the near corner. The Leafs take it up from behind the net, and they send this one down the ice. In both of the previous 2 power plays, the Sens have fired 4 shots on goal in each one. We'll see how many they fire this time around, or if they can strike the back of the net. Tkachuk holds onto it at the left circle, fires one in front. Stutz and Stolarz was able to hold his own at the far corner. It'll be held inside. Stutzla will go right side for Cousins and drop back for Sanderson. Bafferson once again return feed for Sanderson as they all play catch. Stutzla delays, waits for options. Marner watching him the entire way. He'll decide to switch it back over to Sanderson. Sanderson fighting Cousins. He'll swip it back over to Sanderson. Rips one. That went off a stick of Matthews. And as such, we'll have a face-off. Yeah, because of that Tkachuk penalty, Tampa's on the power play. Of course, the usual 5 guys you have out there. Hagel, Point, Gensel, Kucherov, and Hedman. That's the 5 guys you want if you're the Lightning. An electric power play. That is. And it will be Claude Giroux to take this face-off. Or is it Dylan Cousins? It's actually Giroux. Excuse me. Giroux wins it. He'll deliver to the right side. Off the pass from Chabot. Loose out in front. They score! Ottawa finally strikes on the power play. And Brady Tkachuk, welcome to the postseason. The puck came loose out in front off the one-timer as he fed it across the ice, trying to find the open David Perron. Instead, it went off of Brandon Carlo's skate and in the net. That's one of the weirdest ways to score your first career playoff goal. Not a fancy one, but it's to do what you have to do. It's a 1-goal game here. The Senators being the dominant team in the second period. And Craig Berube, not surprised, expected pushback from the Sens after what happened in Game 1. And for Brandon Hagel, meanwhile, his last power play goal was March 9th, 2024. 108 career games since he last scored a power play goal. So we're back here. That was 108 games. That include playoffs. Up the far side. Toronto picks it up for their own zone. This middle frame dominated by the Senators. Do the Leafs have an answer here? This was poked loose by Tavares. Wide of one of the Sens. But they'll take it back up for the near side boards. Up the middle they go as Zub sets up Gregg. Ridley Gregg misses it entirely. And we picked up by Bafferson at the far half boards. Drake Bafferson gets taken down. Gregg able to help it. Cousins wants to get back for Jensen. Jensen's all tied up. Some pokes at the puck. Gregg there, able to get it deep, but Ottawa goes for a change. The Leafs wanting to go for the far side, but the Sens are able to hold it. They're all closed off. Two guys on the approaching Senator, and Ottawa will restart for their own zone. Ullmark plays this one out for Jensen. Jensen holding it, dropping this one off. Chabot missed it. He'll get it back. For the near side, it is Shane Pinto, but it's an icing as a skip by Pinto's stick. And meanwhile, Jake Guentzel has scored for the Tampa Bay Lightning to even it up at 1 apiece. Off the faceoff, Guentzel was out in front, deflected the first one, gets the rebound towards himself, went off the post and tucked it by. His first playoff goal as a Bolt. Down here for 7 years. Is rewarded for it. Faceoff win by the Leafs. Driven back, and here's Tanev. Chris Tanev around for the boards. Matthews turns it around. Can't get it. Another slapper. Missed it entirely. Tanev towards the near corner for Marner. Marner is bumped off the puck. Matthews unable to hold it, but it's delivered over to the far half boards for McCabe. Matthews tied up by Chabot. Matthews escapes. Nice. Dispossessed by Jensen, and this bounces over McCabe's stick, and the Senators trying to tie the game up as it was poked free. A shove from Nice, and Ottawa wants to get this back up for the far half boards. Matthews! He takes down his man, and he gets the puck for himself. Almost coughs it up for Stützle. And Ottawa will get this one back in their own zone as they look to reset and tie this one up. Brady Tkachuk, rink wide. Taking this one across is Stützle. Stützle's leveled. Oh my goodness, and that slapper bounced off of Stolarz' pads. Clevin directs this onto the near corner as both teams are going right after it. The Sens trying to keep it. 4 Leafs have sticks. Right around for the far corner as Toronto's wanting to clear. Max Domi in pursuit. On the right point. Shot inside, blocked off in traffic. Tanev trying to clear, and it's out. Clevin recollects it at his own zone. Tyler Clevin. Turnover from the left circle. A spin by Domi. Wanting to look on the backhand. Now the forehand. Centers one on a cross. That one wide. And out for the near corner. McMahon is pinned. Bobby McMahon going after Tyler Clevin. Taken away by Domi. He might be tripped. Up at the top of the left circle. Fires. And that one wide of Ullmark. Held inside by Carlo. As the Sens get this one out. We stay 5-on-5. This is not enough for an icing. Scoop back up by Riley. He'll deliver it for Carlo. Brandon Carlo acquiring the free team trade with Boston and Pittsburgh. Over the near side, Lorentz delivers it backwards for Carlo. Back to Lorentz. And up front for Laughton. Laughton sends it for the far side. He is pursuing this puck. Oh, look out. Laughton was in like a freight train on that puck. For the far half boards, Ekman Larson on the hole. Järnkrok there, trying to poke this one away. Scott Laughton too, and Steven Lorentz. 4th line out there for the Leafs, and in pursuit. The Sens wanting to move it back up. Delivered back. Up the near side boards, it's bounced off of Perron. Anthony Stolarz will play this one out onto the near side boards. This went off of Marner, and Ullmark will leave this one out. Past Sanderson, trying to take the rush up is Amadio, who gets bumped. Gregg trying to support. Ridley Gregg playing behind the net. Tanev there. Ridley Gregg cutting to the front, and this takes a bounce. 10 seconds left in the period, and both teams fighting for this puck that went behind the crease. Matthews is there. Sens trying to tie in the final seconds towards the far side. Time expires. And Toronto will exit this period with a 2-1 lead, but not exactly comfortable as the Senators outshot them 13-3 in the middle frame. The Senators are getting their chances. The Leafs still holding the lead, but they're hanging on for dear life. The second intermission report is up next. I am Alec Nava. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back. welcome to the second intermission report. Alex Nava here with you. As the Ottawa Senators are cut into a 1-goal game in the second period. Toronto leads 2-1. Shots, however, are 23-10. Senators. The hits 32-17 Sens. Faceoffs are 20-15 Maple Leafs. Not a lot of chances for the Leafs in that second period. The Sens make it third time's a charm on the man advantage after having several good looks on the power play, but none of them have transpired until the second period. Toronto converts on their only power play opportunity. It was on John Tavares. And all of these goals have been rather wacky goals. Morgan Riley's goal off his skate and right inside the crease on the cross-ice pass. And John Tavares, his shot bounced off of Linus Ullmark and off a defender and in. And then Brady Tkachuk wanted to center it to David Perron. His goal wasn't actually a shot, it was a pass across. He wanted to find Perron, but he'll be credited for the goal as it bounced off of Brandon Carlo's skate. Postseason is a wonky place. Block shots 19-4, Toronto. Takeaways 4-4, giveaways 5-5. The Leafs have been the stingier defensive team, and it showed that. Getting a replay at the wonky Brady Tkachuk goal. Go for the official goal tallies. Riley from Nylander and Tavares. Tavares from Marner and Matthews on the power play. Tkachuk from Giroux and Chabot on the power play. This is Brady Tkachuk's first career playoff goal. He was a menace in the Four Nations face-off. And a dominant force one way or the other. Meanwhile, the Tampa Bay Lightning are controlling the pace here in the first period. This is not up a 1, but the Panthers have not had a shot on goal since the midway mark. The goals coming from Sam Bennett, assisted by Mackie Samoskevich. Bennett had the first goal of the Panthers regular season and the first goal of the Panthers postseason this year. Jake Guentzel scored on the power play from Nikita Kucherov and Victor Hedman. This power play, one of the best in the NHL. It'll be not surprising if it strikes at any point. And here it did. With Guentzel on the net front, as he usually is. The Carolina Hurricanes take a 2-0 series lead on the New Jersey Devils of a 3-1 victory. With Jesper Bratt opening the scoring, Eric Holla and Dougie Hamilton with the assist at 3:51 at the first period. But was quickly answered back by Shane Gostisbehere as he roofed a shot from the right circle. Sustained zone pressure being key, and that's what led to the tying goal. Jackson Blake and Sebastian Aho the assist. Jackson Blake is the son of Jason Blake, and Jackson's having himself a nice time with Carolina. Jordan Martinook scored shorthanded after Jesperi Kotkaniemi's goal was waved off because it did not completely cross the goal line. I was one of those who saw that it was not completely across the line. I was not surprised that it was waved off. But Martinook shorthanded from Dmitry Orlov on a 2-on-1 rush. The Canes with excellent penalty kills as they were all over the Devils' power play units, shutting them down. One of the best power plays, shut down by the best penalty kill in the league. Seth Jarvis gets the insurance marker on an empty net, assisted by Jordan Martinook. With 37 seconds to go to seal the deal, we have some testiness here at Tampa and the Battle of Florida. Tied at 1 here, the late game. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. As we go to the NBA slate, the Indiana Pacers lead the Milwaukee Bucks 115-107 right now. It's about to say 115-104, but a three-pointer has cut this to an 8-point game. Damian Lillard is back on the lineup, but he has 11 points in the starting 5, 7 assists. Giannis Antetokounmpo doing his usual work, 32 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists. He doesn't have a steal or a block, but that could change at any moment. Bobby Portis off the bench with 25 points and 12 rebounds. And Brook Lopez with 8 points, 4 blocks. And he has all 4 of the Bucks blocks. For Indy, it's scoring by committee, 21 each from Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton has 12 assists. He was recently labeled the most overrated player in the NBA, but he's answering back with his playmaking abilities. Siakam with 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. 15 for Miles Turner on the starting 5, and 14 each between Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nembhard, and Benedict Mathurin. 5 dimes for Nembhard, as Indiana is going with a double point guard set. Rarely works out, but the chemistry is what matters, and the Panthers get another goal. It's a 2-1 lead. It appears to be Sam Reinhart who gets the go-ahead goal for Florida. And after Memphis cut back on OKC's lead, OKC took full control from here on out, getting the lead to a sizable margin, bullying the Thunder. So right now it is 22 points for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Way to make up for the stinker from the last game, but he didn't need to put up too much because the team around him did all the work. Jalen Williams with 18 points, Chet Holmgren 14, Alex Caruso 11. Isaiah Hartenstein with 9 rebounds and 3 assists. Chet with 9 rebounds and 3 blocks. And Shai, despite going 2 of 7 from free, is absolutely clutch at any point. For Memphis, it's been a nightmare for the series. Jaren Jackson Jr. with 22 points with 6 rebounds. Desmond Bane, 12 points, 10 rebounds. John Morant with 17 points, 5 assists. 2 steals. But nothing went right for the Grizzlies at any point at all. Late game is the Timberwolves and the Lakers at Staples Center. Home court advantage for the Lakers. Home ice advantage for the Kings. But as we go on to the first intermission in the Battle of Florida, the Panthers lead 2-1. Sam Reinhart from Dmitry Kulikov and Carter Verhaeghe. A must-have, as not the end of it there. Has some scuffles. So both players named Sam have a goal for the Panthers. Picks number 2, and number 4. Pick number 1 is suspended for this game and next game. He'll be eligible to return by game 3. And Brad Marchand in the mix of it, as per usual. You anticipate a rat line of him, Bennett, and Tkachuk, but that's not the case right now. Going to try to get something up here for Florida, and so far they're delivering. Despite being outshot early, that power play may be proof of it, but nonetheless, holding firm. So far, so good. And what to note of the Golden Knights and the Wild. As we go onto the late slate, having to look at that one. But those 2 games, the main event between the Kings and the Oilers was one of pure chaos. So don't expect major changes from either the Wild. Don't expect major changes from either the Wild or the Golden Knights as they face off at T-Mobile Arena. It was a tight affair throughout, as the Knights emerged victorious 4-2 with the final margin supplied by a buzzer-beating empty net goal by Brett Howden with 1/10 of a second left. Each team came out healthy from game 1. Like much of the way it performed, I believe it was played to their strengths. Tinkering around the edge will be the game plan Tuesday. The one thing Bruce Cassidy is going to address is how the Golden Knights handled the Wild's top line, accounting for Minnesota's 2 goals. Each by Matt Boldy was dangerous in several shifts. Boldy had 2 shots and 9 shot attempts. And Cassidy said that after game 1, he'll look at his defense pairs and make up a deployment and possibly make some adjustments. It's the same for the Wild. Look for them to get more shots through. They had 70 shots, that's why they got 20 through. And the Golden Knights blocked 25 shots. Once we come back, it'll be the 3rd period of the Maple Leafs and the Senators here on the Stanley Cup Playoffs. I am Alec Nava. Stay tuned, everyone. We're back here in Toronto. We're just about to get the third period underway. The Maple Leafs lead 2-1 on the Senators, but the Senators are breathing down the Leafs' necks. We're about to begin this third period, and Toronto, they need to attack the net. They haven't done this enough in the second period, and they allowed the Senators to walk all over them. That does not bode well for game plans if you're Craig Berube. And what to do if Toronto needs to adjust on this in this game. That means attack the net. Get net front chances. You're blocking way too many shots, which is not what you want to do if you're Toronto. And defense first is priority, but you're playing a defense first game. You're holding them at bay all throughout, but you can only do so much before everything starts to break down. Brady Tkachuk with his first career playoff goal in his second career playoff game. As everyone takes the ice here to start this third period. Linus Ullmark didn't have to do too much, but he's 8 of 10 tonight. Anthony Stolarz' shutout bid is over, but he stopped 22 of 23. We're on the way here. Shane Pinto wins the opening draw. And it's taken up by Tyler Kleven as he shoots this to distance. At the far corner, it is Carlo who finds Riley. Riley moves it up the near side for Nick Robertson. It is bounced up and directed on through the far corner with the Sens restarting. Looking through business as Madam Paolo. Gonna get anything up. Toronto wants to reset here. Looking through right to left. Morgan Riley, John Tavares each have 2 goals in the series. First one back is Jake Sanders. He backhands this one away from the Leafs. Madden Paolo over the near half boards. This one stopped at the sin bin. Bounced up as Benoit. Benoit gets pressured right behind the goal crease. And Brady Tkachuk is in on him. That allows the Sens to recollect this puck. On this takeaway, Amadio in tight. Nice stick check at the last minute by the Leafs. For the near side, it is nice. Austin Matthews there at the near corner. Matthews wants to set up in front. Marner can't get it. A Klepper went wide and up out of play. Oliver Ekman-Larsson wanted to get all of that one right towards the goal. Can't get this one inside, but there were some good looks. But good looks may not be good enough. At the stage of his career, he's bumped down to the third pairing, but he's been serviceable on the third pairing with less responsibilities. Mike Amadio gets denied by Jake McCabe inside on the one-on-one. Last year, Ekman-Larsson was the Stanley Cup champion with the Florida Panthers. Driving here in Toronto on Craig Berube's system. Domi wins the draw, it is Riley. Wants to put one on, but can't. Matthews behind the net as they both tie up on each other. Matthews to the left point as Riley waits, drives, and this one out of play. Up into the netting. Linus Ullmark again, as the Leafs immediately go to work. Ullmark trying to get his playoff reputation back together. He started one game last year, and he was good. He facing up against this Leafs team. Even though he allowed 3 goals, save percentage was north of 910. Matthews, Marner, and Nyes one more time at the left face-off dot. No false start. Marner tried to get it, and this one shot wide. Marner keeps it down to the far side. Matthews falls down. Nice in front. Ullmark there to keep this one all the way out. This is collected in the right circle. Quick shot. And Ullmark with another save. This one exits out. What a sequence. But that one too close for comfort. And it looked like Toronto was testing Ullmark all throughout. Wow. Penalty box doors are open as Brady Tkachuk is discussing with the officials about something. There might be a penalty here at the end of it all. So they're talking about this, as Mitch Marner may have gotten a high stick. And clearly it was a follow-through on the right side. And the replays, Matthews got sealed up on the wraparound try. Marner went down. He was slinging this one out on the pass. Who tried to... He never tried to pin the puck. And Tkachuk is trying to plead his case on this sequence. Tkachuk tried to clear the puck. May have clipped Marner up in the mouth. The officials are not buying it. They're going to talk about it. So are they going to call this a penalty or not? It's the question. Marner gets a towel right onto him as the officials are reviewing this play for a potential 4-minute double minor. So if Marner tried to shoot the puck and Tkachuk tried to clear it, it was a swing and a miss. And accidentally, he got Marner up high, but in the playoffs, there are no accidents. Oof. He attempted to clear the puck and to sweep it away from Marner. So, no penalty on the play. So it was an attempted clearing play, so no penalty. So wash out the double minor. We'll stay at 5-on-5. Toronto wanting to capitalize as Austin Matthews gets confirmation from the officials. Pierre Lambert and Gord Dwyer. So Tkachuk wanted to clear the puck. But this is huge here. It could give Ottawa some life. The Leafs have only 13 shots on goal. The Sens are breathing down their necks as we speak. The Sens were dominant in the second period, and they have tilted the ice towards their favor. So 5-on-5 still, shots 23-11, Ottawa. No penalty against the Senators, and it's still a 2-1 Leafs lead. What is the improvement? 5-on-5 and the quick shot was fired wide. Jake McCabe can't hold his zone, but this will be recollected by Chris Tanev all the way back. Icing called off. Up the near side, McCabe. This bounced up near the penalty box doors. The Sens are trying to go back with this with Greg. Watched by Matthews at the far side. Where the circles as this is backhanded away. Amadio on the hold. Held inside and on down low. But this was bounced up over the far half boards. Nice there to try to poke this one through. Shane Pinto on the hold. Tanev, Greg there joining the tie-up. Nice. Trying to run more clock out. This is not the time to do so. Toronto on the hold from their own zone. They said it's here. Here's Tavares on a breakaway. He ran out of room. Jake Sanderson helped out Linus Omark on this breakout. Pontus Holmberg tied up, and the Sens will go back. Potential 3-on-2, but that's canceled out. John Tavares is back in deep. This will be Artem Zub sticking this one to the far side. Toronto holds his own. And for the far half boards, this one recollected by Zub. Up the near side, this is Drake Bapperson. Up across, Thomas Chabot taking this one up. And this one hits Stowars. He didn't know where it was. Tkachuk. Jensen on the hole. Tkachuk wants to go back to Jensen, couldn't do so. Up the far side, Chabot on the hole. Tkachuk down low, at bay. Stützle. Tim Stützle goes back to the point, and Jensen waits, fires it. That takes a block, and the Leafs will get this one up. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, fan on the handle, and this will be an icing. 16:36 left in this third period. And we'd wonder how this game is going to go through the rest of the way and what curious decisions are going to be taken in this Battle of Ontario. The Leafs have won all 4 previous meetings. That Sens trying to win their first meeting in this series. And it could be a timely playoff series win for the Sens. Went back over to Chabot and then across. Thomas Chabot loads up, and that was blocked in front. Broken stick on the play. Dylan Cousins takes it up onto the far corner. Benoit shoves him off. Tavares wants to get this one down. Could not be gloved down, and Holmberg giving chase. Chabot there, but Holmberg beats him out. Pontus Holmberg turns around and fires. Ullmark is there and leaves no rebound. Just the 13th shot on goal for Toronto in this game. But this game should be a wake-up call for the Leafs. We want to carry playoff success on the rest of the way. And off the face-off, there was a one-timer. That was perfectly executed. But the Sens want to send their message. John Tavares on the breakaway ran out of room to maneuver. Defensive shifts do help out. Jake Sanderson to force that shot breakout. Tavares, Marner on the bench now. 2-1, Leafs leading. Marner having a quaff on his nose. Face off to the right of Ullmark. Clean face-off win by the Senators, but Bobby McMahon jumps onto the puck. Out in front, there was nobody in the slot. Domi back checking as the Sens are going back with this. Here's Drake Batherson all the way across. This one well over the heads of several players, including 2 Senators. The Leafs want to clear, tie up at the near half boards, and the Leafs will take this one back. Domi can't get this one all the way as there's a good stick in the lane from Cousins. Dylan Cousins trying to go back with this and backhands it on for Sanderson. Cousins will start it up from his own zone. Moving up for the middle. Cousins sends this one in deep. And it's recollected at the far side by Batherson for Cousins. Cousins turnaround shot. Blocked in front. He'll get his own rebound back. Right behind the net as Agreski softens. And then for the near half boards. McMahon twisted around by Perron. And it's cleared out as Scott Laughton slows down the pace. We'll send this one in with Järnkrok giving chase to Quevin. Quevin the first to Stutzla. Stutzla will look. And we'll go rink wide for Madenpalo. Nicholas Madenpalo can't get anything up. This went off of Quevin's stick. And he'll force it away from Marner. From the far half boards delivered backwards. McCabe giving chase. Jake McCabe with Giroux pressuring. Tkachuk also there. And on the left point, Nyes will take it up. Turnaround pass over to Giroux. Sens will restart as they bring it back for the far side. Giroux waits. And will send this backwards to Stutzla. Tim Stutzla wants to get some room, gets it back over to the point as Sanderson fakes it. Stutzla waits. Now fires is deflected wide. While Giroux will keep this one inside. Down low, cutting off the pass was Toronto. And he'll get this one out. Thomas Chabot will restart his own zone. Take it across, rink wide. Now back inside, Brady Tkachuk intercepted. And the Leafs will clear this one all the way. Simon Benoit delivers one off for the near side. Ullmark out of his crease to play it. Chabot. Look out! Here is William Nylander to the net front! Tavares couldn't get the shot away as he was tied up. John Tavares. Holmberg keeps this one alive, and behind is Nylander. Nylander on a backhand for Ullmark, who shut it down 6 minutes and 1 second into the third period. That's where we're going to break here. Leafs hanging on to a 2-1 lead. They have just fired 14 shots at Ullmark. Ottawa 23 times at Stolars. We'll be right back in a moment. CN Tower, a notable landmark here in Toronto, and the most populous cities in North America, most populous city in Canada. Fans wave their towels here. Leafs lead 2-1. Here at the midway mark of the third period, bringing the passion here to Leafland. But will that passion keep up with everyone else? They've been outshot thoroughly here. And Craig Berube said, we have to be ready for pushback. The Leafs have all 4 shots in this third period. After they were outshot 10-7 in the first, 13-3 in the second. Pontus Holmberg wants to keep the zone and does. Holmberg stripped at the backhand by Pinto, but is held inside. Morgan Riley sends this one down low for Holmberg. Holmberg towards the net, stopped by Omar. A soft shot. Holmberg wanted to poke this one away. Amadio dispossessed. The Sens runs into a convoy. And now at the far side, the Leafs will take it back. 23-15, the shots in favor of Ottawa. Carlo will move it up for Matthews. Now Marner will flip it to the near corner. First ones there are Sanderson and Zub. With the far half boards, it is Drake Bafferson. Caught off with the far half boards. Tanev keeping pace with Cousins. Cousins goes back to the left point for Chabot, and here is Nick Jensen. Thomas Chabot blocked in front. Good stuff by Matthews. Tanev, who shuts down Cousins right behind the goal. Cousins in front! Save the rebound! And it's the worst possible time for me to have my feet be buffering. Oh my goodness. You hate these feelings so much. And good fortune is that I didn't miss a goal. But it goes back. Tyler Quevin. The rest of the way is Ottawa trying to go back up. Stotswa leads the way up to the far side for Giroux. Rink wide to a trailer, but this exits out. Couldn't hold the zone. Back deep is Quevin with Madden Paulo. Stotswa gets by a defender. Stotswa to the net. Pass in front. And that was reflected wide by a Leaf. Backed by the penalty box doors as Ottawa wants to tie this game up. Simon Benoit. Rink wide to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. And then down deep. Batted down by Lorentz as they both give chase. Sanderson backhands it to Perron. And Perron leads the way through center for Adam Gaudette. Stolarz plays it out. And for the near side, Perron almost bat this one down. It's taken back by Zub. Artem Zub intercepted. Nick Robertson lofts one to the near corner. Jake Sanderson, the Leafs takes a hard tumble, losing an edge. Through the middle. There's a good poke there at center ice as the Leafs will want to move this back up. Nice maneuver for the far side by Domi. Domi gets by through, I believe it's David Perron, but it's sticked away by Sanderson. Ottawa on this way right back. 2-on-2 as Nick Cousins heats it up. Cousins bounced off of Stolarz. And at the near side, this is, I believe it's Zetterlund who gets turned around. Or actually, it's Bafferson. Moves it over to the far half boards. Gaudette is locked up. And through the far corner, Bafferson. Twisted and turn, right in front. And that one wide at the crease. Jensen, right across over to Arister. Now onto the open net, and Ottawa still holding on to it. One-timer Zetterlund, blocked in front. Jensen just held the zone. Drake Bafferson gets the feed. Another shot blocked in front. Robertson picks up a stick. Puck is loose. Both teams fighting for the puck. Jensen picks it up. Held the zone at the near corner. Toronto wanting to get this one out. Right behind the net. And nothing much as Tavares can't get this one out, but he is helped out. And Morgan Riley can finally exit out. Nick Jensen sends this back inside. Right around for the boards. Held inside as Ottawa wants to tie this one up. Stolarz didn't know where it was. From the blue line, this will be recollected by Zub. Halfway mark of the third period. Toronto leads 2-1. Florida up by 3-1 in their game. Up the near side, shoved on the face was Cousins. Oh, that was a big shove by one of the Leafs. By refreshing the feed. Hasn't been going out too well. Remember, this is a 2-1 Toronto lead. I'm restarting the feed now because everything has glitched out. But now, 2-1, Toronto might be an icing. Yes, it was an icing. That was a stoppage, yes. An icing against Ottawa. That will set the Leafs up. Nate Schmidt scored for the Panthers. And this is controlled by the Leafs off the faceoff. On the back end, sent down deep for Matthews. Tight shot was stopped by Omar. And up the far side, the Senators wanting to get this one up. Jake Sanderson flipped this one through. Long stretch of changes here. On a long pass from Morgan Riley as Nylander was tied up. Flucked it away by Stutzla and now moved up the near side. Giroux around the boards. Through the far side. Carlo shoved by Tkachuk. That's what he can do. The viciousness. Bobby McMahon around one defender. Can't get by the second one. Ottawa recollects it from their own zone. No shots for the Senators in this period. Pass across. It's going to be a delayed offside. That allows the Leafs to take it back up. Tanev will move it up the middle for Marner. Mitch Marner through the near side for Jake McCabe as he sends it deep. Back is Chabot. Ran into by Matthews who takes himself out. Will this be ice? It will. Here's your answer. Good offensive zone start for Toronto. 12 shot attempts to 0. 12 shot attempts for the Leafs in comparison to the Sens. 0 shots. Matthews and Pinto on the faceoff. False start, but we'll have to do this over again. Pinto wins it, and Ottawa wants to get it out. On the rush through the far side, looking for the tying goal. Are the Senators as Ekman Larson goes on a tumble. Up and over he goes as both he and his men are struggling to get back up. At the scramble right behind Stolarz' crease. Emerging are the Leafs. Up the middle is Matt Nyes. Overtime hero last year in Game 5 against Boston. And this goes behind the net for Jensen. Up the far boards, these are the Senators who want to clear this one down, but can't. Held at the right point. Leafs are changing. Less than 8 minutes to go as the Senators. Oh, so Lorentz gets, decks this man, Zetterlund. And the Senators take exception to that. 7:45 to go for Ottawa to get the tying goal. Puck bounced up in the air. And Chabot wanted to get inside the Ottawa zone. And there's a Putzkis shoving after the whistles. Watt and Zetterlund going after one another. 7:41 to go. We'll be right back in a moment here from Toronto. Panthers are continuing to build their lead. It is 4-1. Nate Schmidt scored and Matthew Tkachuk scored. So to talk about rest versus rust factor, Just throw it out the window. This is an inexperienced Ottawa team. It just made the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. The Leafs, meanwhile, have made it 9 straight years. They were here for the last Ottawa playoff appearance, and here in the most recent Ottawa playoff appearance. The last time they made the playoffs was one of the final years of the Erik Karlsson tenure. Brady Tkachuk, a goal and 4 shots tonight. Matthew Tkachuk, a goal and 2 shots so far tonight. But still, here, it's a 2-1 Toronto lead, while Matthews' guys have the lead, 4-1. Funny how the multiple 2 is working out in terms of leading games or trailing games. So we have some repairs going on along the boards. As part, the boards came loose, so they have to go towards the boards to repair that. As they go for tomorrow's games. So the Montreal Canadiens and Washington Capitals Game 2 will be at 7 Eastern. 9:30 Eastern is the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche. Game 3 as it is in Denver. And in Game 2 between the Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings. At LA, 10 Eastern. And the Oilers, they tied the game and then lose the game in regulation on a soft knuckle puck. Not how this game wanted to end for the Oilers. There's some repairs as there's a broken sheet of ice. Austin Matthews has been having a frustrating game tonight. As he's the best goal scorer in the NHL. He's won for 69 goals last year. But this year, in the playoffs, not really kind to him. Matthews has had it tough. It's been slowed down all throughout. And the frustration is boiling up for him at the bench. The captain from San Ramon, California. But he started his hockey career in Scottsdale. Scottsdale known as a hockey town in Arizona. You wonder why is there hockey in Arizona? It's mostly because of the Arizona Coyotes and their impact on the ice. Back in those days with Shane Doan playing. And 8-year-old Matthews was in the stands when he witnessed one of the greatest goals scored in NHL history. When a rookie Alex Ovechkin scored while falling down on his back. Repairs are complete. The Senators do not have a shot attempt in this entire third period. Toronto has all 7 shots of this period. Up the far side as this bounced up. Ottawa trying to get back at the Stars is hurried up. Almost gave it away. Holmberg controls it. And he'll send this down deep. Chabot is restarting. The Sens moving up for the far side. And the Leafs escape certain harm. The faceoff will now be outside the Toronto zone as this was deflected out onto the bench. Stars was hurried up. There was trouble from all over the place. Pinto takes a hard fall and Ridley Gregg almost takes a freebie, but Stars made sure not to get this towards danger. Oh, an overwhelming moment for him. What a scare that was. And Thomas Chabot still out there on the ice. The faceoff actually may be inside the Toronto zone with Matthews taking it against Stützle. And Stützle is tossed. Tkachuk will take it in his place. Matthews wins a clean one. This will be not gloved down. It's going all the way back. Ice again. 7:11 to go on the third. Missed the glove down. Chris Tanev wanted to clear this one down. One of the best shot blockers in the NHL. They're actually going to say it was touched, and because of the whistle, they're going to have to face off at center ice. It went off his glove slightly, so the icing is waved off. So the face-off will be at center ice. Another Matthews face-off win. Benoit to Ekman-Larsson. Bounced up onto the left point. Sanderson will recollect it. Flipped up into the air. Bounced up off Bafferson. as both teams giving chase offside. Once again. You can't do that. That kills you. Two goals in 15 seconds after a bad challenge. And John Cooper. The Bolts are in trouble starting this series. As tweeted out by John Ott. If we get another Edmonton versus LA comeback, this will be stunning. Face-off is outside the Toronto zone. Leafs are up 2-1. They've never trailed in this series. Tie up at the draw. Matthews helps out Marner. McCabe at his own end. This one bounced off Nyes and scooped back up by Matthews as he sends this around the horn to the far half boards. Sanderson couldn't hold it. Gray could, but Matthews strips him. Tanev will wait and go across for McCabe. McCabe bounces this one up, but too far. Sanderson can't handle it, and entering inside is Nyes. Nyes backhands one past everyone, and the Senators wanting to tie this game up. They have not led in this series. Up the far side, now through center, near the Leaf logo. Up for the far near side the boards on this dump in. Recollecting is Carlo. Brandon Carlo. Bouncing this one off the glass, Steven Lorentz. Sends this one across the opposite corner. Jensen being chased by Laughton. Lorentz sends this one backwards to Carlo. Now back to Lorentz. Laughton fanned on the reception, and this will go all the way back to Toronto's ice. Stolar's way out of his crease. The Leafs help him out though, and through center ice it takes a bounce. Near the Ottawa bench, the Sens will scoop it back up. Delivered on for Nick Jensen. Deflected up off of Stutzla, but taken back up by Robertson. Nick Robertson sends this towards the lip, and the Sens will move this through center. David Perron sends it around the horn from near to far. The Leafs will take it back up in their own zone, now at the near side. Spinning around is Nicholas Matampalo as he sends this one down another dump in. Toronto. Stutzla pokes this one away off of Domi. That was his back one. Left way shot. Score! Adam Gaudette has tied it up. The surprise story of this season are the Ottawa Senators has knotted this game at 2 apiece. 19 in the regular season. First of the playoffs and first since his time with the Vancouver Canucks as he sets up in front. Takes a bounce off of him with Oliver Ekman-Larsson tying him up. A one-timer from the deep left point. Gaudette presents his stick. And this puck was put towards the net. We're even up at 2. How about him? The Leafs are contemplating challenging this, but they'll call a timeout. Whether he wants to look at it, but it certainly might not be play with a high stick. I don't believe it's a play with a high stick. So it's either to regroup his team or to give his guys an edge. It's 2-2. 5:13 to go here in this third period. If we do have overtime, it would be the third time we'll see overtime in the playoffs. We have 4 times of late game heroics. That might be offside. It might be okay once everyone turns around. It might be offside once there was a touch-up on Ottawa, but it might be okay once everyone exits. The officials are looking at the video replay. They're just looking over the footage. Brad Treliving looking upstairs. They're not sure if they're going to challenge this one, but I don't believe it's offside. They're not challenging, so the goal will stand. It is 2-2 here in Game 2. Twos are crazy. William Nylander blazing inside, has to fight off a man. That was Sanderson. 5 minutes to go here in regulation. We have seen late game heroics in the first 3 days of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And we see another one here from either one of these 2 Ontario teams, whether it be the Leafs or the Senators. Leaves in the blue, sends in the white. Tim Stutz on the takeaway. Cross-ice pass in front. And nothing was there. And this one cleared down. Will this be ice? Yes. It will be an icing on Toronto as Gaudette. Wearing the net guard. Has evened this up at 2. 24-17. That was the right choice. Not to challenge it. So Stutz got the assist on the Gaudette goal. As this was a blasted shot from the deep left point. Gaudette deflected this one in. Giroux on the faceoff. He wins it. Now back is Chabot. Around Nylander. Chabot working in front. Tried to fire towards the goal but can't. Chabot still holding onto it. Beats it back. Stutz blast one. Blocked in front. Another try. That made his way to Stolarz. A loose scramble at the front. And at the far corner, Giroux keeps it inside. Giroux turned around shot. Made his way to Stolarz, who stopped it. Tkachuk tied up by Riley. It's behind Stolarz. Now picked up by Stutz at the near corner. Spun around the near half boards. Toronto picks it up. And they want to clear this one down. Giroux is tied up. And Tkachuk is leveled. He is exhausted as he makes his way towards the bench. Riley holds onto it. Deep pass towards the near side. Nyes is tied up. And he'll defer it backwards. The Sens chasing. Jake McCabe, hounded by Mike Amadio at the far corner. This bounced up, moved out in front. This takes one bounce, 2 bounces. Wide of Stolarz as Amadio's tracking it down. McCabe there as well. Matthews. McCabe stick lifted as this goes back to the point for Sanderson. Sanderson shot deflected high. Zub keeping this one as Stolarz never shot that one. Pinto spun around, takes a bounce up the far side as Sanderson. Around the horn for Zub. 3:15 to go. Artem Zub around the horn again from near to far. McKay picks it up. And here, Nyes will enter this with the puck. Nyes tried to go rink wide. Shot right in front. Loose puck. How did Omar keep it out? Oh my goodness. What a save. Austin Matthews. Oh, down goes one of the players. There's a loose stick. And there's Matthews going down. No hand up in the air. Fans want a penalty. And Matthews calling for a penalty. And it looks like this is going to be a penalty for delay of game. Unless the officials talk about it. But there could have been a penalty there. Or tripping. High sticking. But they're going to call for a delay of game. The question now, was it deflected or did it touch the glass? 2:43 to go. This is a crucial moment late in the game. Good rush chances by both teams. We've seen late game heroics before. Kyle Connor, game 1, Winnipeg, St. Louis. No penalty. And it looks like it did hit the glass, so it was the right call. No penalty. It's the late game heroics earlier in the playoffs. Kyle Connor, game 1 for Winnipeg against St. Louis. And the overtime heroes, Alex Ovechkin for Washington against Montreal, game 1. Colin Blackwell, game 2 for Dallas against Colorado. Philip Deneau late in game 1 for LA against Edmonton. Who'll be the hero here? Find out when we come back. back at this game. And meanwhile, it's 5-1 Panthers. Matthew Tkachuk scores again. We're tied at 2 apiece. In the Maple Leafs' last 4 playoff series after a Game 1 win, they lost in 7 games to Tampa. Lost in 7 games to Boston. 2022 and 2019. Lost in 7 games to Philadelphia in the first round. In 2003. Lost in the conference finals in 6 games to the Carolina Hurricanes in 2002. Face off to the right of Ullmark. Toronto's hoping that the Game 1 curse doesn't bite them this time around. Max Domi to take it. It's won by Ottawa. Artem Zub hounded by John Tavares. Poked away and it goes over to the far corner. Ridley Gregg taking this one up. Gregg will move this one up. Go Leafs, go chance here at Toronto. Morgan Rielly starting from his own zone. Rielly through the far side. This is sent rink wide for Nylander. Bounced up. Nylander there. Nylander fires it. Ullmark the save. Claude Giroux. Giroux tracked by Tavares from behind. And this will go towards the benches. The pass missed for Stützle. This is onside. Stützle sends one for Tkachuk. Tkachuk hounded at the far corner. Domi gave it away. Cross ice for Jensen. He waits. He fires. Save. Rebound. Stützle tangled up. Can't get this one down. Tkachuk backs up. Chabot the first over to Jensen. Nick Jensen holds on to it. This goes to the near corner. Bounces off Stützle's stick. Stützle at the near half boards. Nick Jensen is in trouble and Stützle lost his stick. He'll have to go to the bench to get his. Either that or go for a change, in which he'll go for a change. Bafferson drops back. Marner there, breaking loose. Shot! Big save by Stolarz! He covers up with 126. Robs Dylan Cousins here at Toronto. A great look with William Nylander cutting to the front. And while this bounced out of Ullmark, the best save was by Anthony Stolarz, who flashed the letter on Dylan Cousins to keep this leveled at 2. Craig Berube already used his timeout. Travis Green does have his timeout. One-timer fired wide off the face-off. Ottawa holds his own with Zetterlund. He was tied up. On the opposite corner, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Mitch Marner went down. This is a 2-on-2 rush. Austin Matthews looks. Fires this towards the net. Fought off by Ullmark. And keeping his head at the near half boards are the Leafs. A pin towards the boards. And this one bounced up. Grabbed down by Ottawa. Sent towards the near side. Here's Bafferson. 4-on-2. Bafferson toe drag. Fires wide at the crease. Final 55. Chasing this one down is Nyes. Nyes trying to take this himself. Right by Zub where he is pinned though. In front is Matthews. Marner fires. Blocked in front. Nyes is at the near corner. He keeps it there. And Ottawa will look to get this out, which they do. Past their bench and firing this one down. Amadio staying on the ice. Stolarz directing this to the far corner. Held inside the far half boards. Toronto trying to get it out, which they do. Thomas Chabot whacked away at it. Some Leafs trying to get out this puck. Chris Tanev overcommitted. Ridley Gregg coming back with this puck with 15. Through the far corner. 10 until overtime unless we have a winner here in regulation. Poked aside and out for the near corners. It's kept inside by Tkachuk. 5 seconds. And this one floated out through center. We're going to have overtime here in game 2. The Ottawa Senators down by 2 goals. Farley out shooting the Leafs in the first 2 periods. Level it up at 2 apiece. While getting outshot themselves in the third period. Drake Bafferson with a great look at the top corner. Going short side on Stolarz. And this pass from the fourth line could not be finished. And I know that John is listening along. A slow start for the Sens. I don't know if I'll give this a shot, but another overtime here. Our third one of the postseason. We were just 40 seconds away from it last time around between the Kings and the Oilers. Don't anticipate this happening again on the next time. But if this does happen, and We'll be shocked if that happens. But Florida has total control on the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-1. As we go through here on the overtime slate and the games that we are looking at, the Panthers in complete and total control on the Lightning. And even though Tkachuk scored, the Leafs cut to a thin 3 goals. Braden Point from Ryan McDonough and Gage Gonsalves. Tkachuk's 2 goals on the power play. Welcome back, to say the least. And the Lakers and the Timberwolves looking to get underway soon enough. But as we go through here on the way to give you the recap of what led us to this overtime period. We haven't had multiple overtime periods so far this postseason. But we have had one game that went deep into the first overtime. Colin Blackwell was the hero of the Stars win over the Colorado Avalanche in Game 2. 4th liners coming up huge. Maybe a recurring theme in the playoffs, but the playoffs are about unlikely heroes. Saw that this year with Blackwell. Last year with Barclay Goodrow for the New York Rangers. He did the same thing in 2019 with the San Jose Sharks. Sean Corrali for the Boston Bruins in 2017. And while he's not really a 4th liner, Patrick Maroon was on the Blues' 3rd line when he scored the double overtime winner on the Dallas Stars in 2019. How they got here? Morgan Rielly from William Nylander and John Tavares. Both Leafs goals were in the first period. The Rielly goal at the 3:43 mark, that went off of his skate and right into the net. John Tavares followed up in the case that wasn't across the line, but the one by Rielly was. No kicking motion. It is a good goal. Then, on the power play, John Tavares bounced a shot off of Ullmark that went off a defender in front and into the net for the power play goal. The Leafs have scored 3 power play goals in Game 1, which was more than what they had in the entire first round series against the Boston Bruins last year combined, where they went 1 for 21. And so far throughout this series, as you look at Toronto's power play, the Leafs, they scored 3 power play goals last time. They scored their only power play goal here in this game. They scored their only power play in this game. And a 6-2 victory for Toronto in Game 1. They're pulling at the ESPN team stats. And the 6-2 victory in Game 1 for the Leafs. They were 3 of 6. Toronto is 4 of 7 on the man advantage in this series. Insane to think about, even though it's just 2 games. But that's unreal. But Ottawa's not going down without a fight. Brady Tkachuk from Claude Giroux and Thomas Chabot on the power play. It's Tkachuk's first career power play goal in the playoffs. First career goal in the playoffs in general. Ottawa previously went 0 for 4 on the man advantage. They score on their 5th attempt on the power play. And to tie it up, it was Adam Gaudette on the net front deflection with Tyler Cleven's one-timer from the feed from Tim Stützle. Toronto took a timeout to see if they could challenge this for offside. However, they decided not to challenge it. And they took this time to regroup and regain their composure. They decided not to challenge it. And it was the right call from Craig Berube. There was a touch from one of the Senators right behind the zone as 2 Senators were in. As it was fired inside, everyone exits. So, no offside challenge. That was the key. Shots here are 27-19 Senators. Hits 41-25 Senators. Face-offs are pretty much even. 27-25 Leafs. But the Senators are dictating the pace of play in this game. Ottawa was without a shot attempt for the first half of the 3rd period. They then fired 4 shots on goal, and one of them was deflected in. Power plays 1 for 3 Ottawa, 1 for 1 Toronto. And in terms of block shots, the numbers are going to blow your mind. The Toronto Maple Leafs have blocked 30 shots. That's in comparison to Ottawa's 5. But as Ottawa's getting a majority of the shot looks, Toronto is being stingy on defense. That's what happens when you have guys like Chris Tanev, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Jake McCabe, Brandon Carlo, and Simon Benoit on your team. All of them are defensive-minded players. That includes Ekman-Larsson, who developed his two-way game under Paul Maurice, and it's working out here under Craig Berube, still to this day. They're doing 30 block shots. A lot of tired bodies are going to be giving out here on the Leafs. I don't know how much are going to be, how many are going to be standing here, but it's like all those bodies are going to be worn down at some time. If you look at the block shot leaders for the Leafs, 2 by Matt Nyes, 3 from Mitch Marner, 4 from Austin Matthews, 2 each from William Nylander and Nick Robertson, 3 from John Tavares. Among defensemen, 4 from Brandon Carlo, 2 each from Ekman-Larsson and Tanev, 3 from Morgan Riley. Of all people, Morgan Riley, not known as a defensive defenseman as he's more known for offense, he showed his defense with his free block shots. Simon Benoit had 1, Steven Lorentz, Scott Laughton each had 1 as well among the block shots for the Leafs. Takeaways are 7-5 Toronto, 8-7 the giveaways for Ottawa. So in terms of this, the Panthers Lightning game running down the second period, but we saw some overtime heroes here so far in the playoffs. Alex Ovechkin, 2 goals and assists with his first career playoff overtime goal. He included 7 hits in Game 1 against Montreal. The last time the Caps and Habs met in the playoffs, the Habs pulled off a historic upset. The Caps were the President's Trophy winners, accumulating 120 points in the regular season. The Habs, 88 in the regular season in terms of points accumulated. Losing tiebreaker to the Philadelphia Flyers for the 7th seed, so they had to settle for the 8th seed. But they came back from a 3-1 series deficit and won in Game 7, with Dominic Moore getting the series winner. Game 1 went to overtime. That's 15 years ago. And just like that time, Game 1 of this year's series went to overtime. However, the result is different. This year it ended with an Alex Ovechkin overtime winner. In 2010, it ended with a Tomas Plekanec overtime winner, though Nicholas Backstrom would answer in Game 2 with an overtime winner. At that time, Washington lost 5 straight overtime games, regular season and playoffs combined. But then Backstrom answered back with an OT winner. He had a hat trick in Game 2 of that 2010 series. No longer playing, as he is on the press box watching his former teammates and his current team. Here replaying the PK Subban double overtime winner on the NHL and ESPN and feed. Game 1 between Montreal and Boston 2014. The Habs won that series in 7 games off incredible goaltending from Carey Price. We'll also take this moment to look into the NBA slate, as we have some final scores there. The Lakers are jumping out to an early lead. The Indiana Pacers take a 2-0 series lead on the Milwaukee Bucks, despite the return of Damian Lillard. He was pretty much a non-factor in this game, with 14 points, 7 assists on 4 of 13. As expected, Giannis Antetokounmpo dominated with 34 points, 18 rebounds, and 7 assists. Milwaukee got a much-needed boost from Bobby Portis, as he got 28 points off the bench with 12 rebounds, 6 of 11 from 3. That added 3-point shooting rate. Helping out, Brook Lopez had 4 of the 6 Milwaukee blocks. The other 2 from Giannis, 1 each from Giannis and Portis. But it was Indy with their well-rounded attack offensively that got the job done. The by-committee approach. Pascal Siakam with 24 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. And Tyrese Halliburton, the breakout star of last year. 21 points, 12 assists, 5 rebounds. And to round this out, 6 players on Indy with double figures. 17 for Andrew Nembhard with 6 assists. 16 for Aaron Nesmith on 5 of 9 shooting. 2 rebounds and 2 dimes. 15 for Miles Turner on 6 of 10. And Benedict Mathurin, 14 points, 4 of 10. Just 1 free-pointer. He has 5 free throws to back that up. The blowouts continue at Oklahoma City as it's a steamrolling of Grizzlies all over the Oklahoma City forests. The Thunder, this thunderstorm is not showing any signs of cooling down. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, after a stinker in Game 1, bounced back for a 27-point outing in Game 2. 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. And while he was a paltry 10 of 29, Wayne Gretzky once said, "You miss 1% of the shots you don't take." Chet Holmgren, 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 blocks. 6 of 14 shooting, and Jalen Williams, the most underrated second option in the NBA, with 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists on 10 of 19 shooting. Isaiah Hartenstein snagged 10 rebounds and assisted on 5 buckets. Memphis, oh my goodness. Jaren Jackson had 26 points and 6 rebounds. 23 for Ja Morant with 6 assists and 2 steals. Desmond Bane, 19 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. This team was treading water barely. Well, barely even treading water. Because their head's on a swivel as they head back to Memphis. There's not a lot that can encourage fans thinking that this series will turn around momentum. It's back-to-back blowouts to begin this series. They're the 68-win Thunder. Ouch. Not a situation you want to be in. And that's the NBA recap so far. And that's for who I'm picking for overtime winners. As we go to who is left on this slate. Between Toronto and Ottawa, this game going to overtime. Toronto went 1-1 in last year's overtime games. Matt and I scored the only overtime winner for the Leafs last year. They lost the series in Game 7 to the Bruins on a David Pastrnak goal right in front of the crease in front of Ilya Samsonov. So who I'm picking as my overtime winners for the Leafs, I'm going with Bobby McMahon. Look, I mean, I know it may be a less talked about option here on this list, but he's been in a rut on the goal scoring department. And I feel now would be the perfect time to get an overtime winner for Toronto, for McMahon. For the Senators, I am going with Claude Giroux. And while he's been a playoff warrior for many years between the Flyers and the Panthers, which still feels weird to talk about, given his short stint with the Panthers, he is a playoff warrior, and he can get the job done at any moment. Adam got that tied up. He played 6 minutes and 4 seconds of regulation. So, bonus hockey. Toronto going from left to right, Ottawa going from right to left, as they normally would when these teams are at their home ice. But Morgan Riley gets a strange opening goal, and John Tavares with another strange goal. Riley off his skate on the cross-ice pass, and then Tavares wrapping this one around. Not exactly a wrap around, but it's a turnaround shot that bounced off Olmark and then off a defender. The strange goals don't end there. Kachuk, as he tried to find Perron, bounced off of Carlo's skate. But this one will not be as strange. Or it was, actually, as spoke to Sudas Gaudette, tipped in a slow-moving one-timer right in front of Stolarz. Stolarz has been excellent so far in his Toronto tenure. He stopped 25 of 27. Linus Olmark is 17 of 19. The last time Olmark has played a playoff overtime game, if you're a goaltender, tend to goal. He coughed the puck up directly to Carter Verhaeghe, and Matthew Tkachuk ended Game 5 against the Bruins in 2023. 6 minutes and 5 seconds the exact time it took for Patrice Bergeron to score the overtime winning goal in Game 7 against Toronto. Here we go! Bonus hockey! Chipped in by Amadio, but it's cleared out by the Leafs. It'll be settled down by the Sens, and Sanderson will set up shop. Moved up the near side for Stützle, bounced past Carlo. Riley there, they chip this over to the far half boards. Take it away, here's Stützle, trying to find a lane, can't do so. Well, the furthest back here's Artem Zub, blocked in front. And this will be going back through center ice. Zub, chased down by Holmberg, as the Sens are resetting at their own zone. Shots 27-19, Ottawa. Dumped in as this will be collected by Carlo, and they'll get their first possession of this overtime period. Ullmark out of his crease to Puedes. Chabot, played this away to Jensen. Jensen, hounded by Nyes as he was there. Cleared all the way down by Pinto as this went off of Ekman Larsson's glove. Was chased by Mario. Settled down by Matthews, who'll try to get this one up, but it bounced off of Ridley Gray. Matthews gets it back. But that was Simon Benoit and a whistle. He was getting tangled near the penalty box doors. We are 1 minute and 8 seconds into the fourth period. And they're playing Freddie Freeman's walkout song here. Very few want to take the villain role here, but Brady Tkachuk is comfortable with that. Claude Giroux has been around for a long time. He said with his hometown team, it was offside all the way back from Toronto's own end. So getting back up as we get on Parkin here. Overtime. I guess the nerves are high here.
We ended up watching the game in the living room, the family, so couldn't join, unfortunately, until now, but everyone's gone to bed, so.
Wraparound shot that's turned away by Stolars, and this will be settled down, cross ice for Matthews. Matthews moves it up. This will be backhanded deep by Nyes. Nyes is tied up, Chabot is there, so is Marner. He sends this behind Ullmark's crease. Jensen slaps this one around. It'll be touched up and collected by the Leafs. Fired home from deep, and around the horn it goes. Settled down by Laughton, and it's collected by Steven Lorentz. Slapped inside by Järnkrok, who's on the fourth line. Chabot sends it backwards to Jensen, chased by Lorentz. Up the far side, this is not picked up. And this is sent out through center as Brady Tkachuk. This actually was contact off the skate from behind the red line off Tkachuk. Icing behind the red lines. The Leafs will get an offense's own draw.
This is stressful.
And Tkachuk almost had that one. Tied at 2. We don't know how deep we're going to go, but we're staying with you for as long as we can. I don't want this to go to multiple overtimes because that would be super stressful. Tavares, long shot, bounced up out onto the mesh off of Ullmark's skate.
I mean, I love multiple overtime hockey, but not when my team's involved.
The last time that multiple overtimes went involving one of my teams, ouch. It do be your former teammates getting overtime winners on you. Vincent Trocheck.
That was the Penguins-Bruins game, right?
No, that was the Rangers-Hurricanes one. So, as Ullmark covers up, but the last time it involved the Penguins on multiple overtimes, it was Evgeny Malkin getting a triple overtime winner at the Big Apple. After some third period controversy in which a Philip Keto goal was disallowed for goaltender interference in which it looked like Capo Caco was forced to the net.
That was 2 years ago, if I remember correctly.
3 years ago. You were not that far off. But
yeah, I remember because I was still at school and I had an exam that night and the Leafs were all playing and I got off at 10 o'clock and 2 hours later, the game that was in overtime at 10 o'clock was still in overtime.
I still can't believe that we won that game. A game that we shouldn't have won, honestly, as Stolars gloves it down. We shouldn't have won that game, honestly. How did we win that? But his strategy is Travis Green and Craig Berube squads are going at it here. First playoff overtime game since the knuckle puck game for the Senators. And for the Leafs, they want to avenge some demons. There's just that 57-year streak that needs to be killed off. At the far corner, Benoit ties up his man. It's directed onto the far side. This bounced up and it's loose. Here's a free on two the other way. Max Domi has Nick Robertson and Bobby McMahon. Domi tied up. McMahon recollects it and it goes behind for Domi, who was tied up himself. At the side of the net, Robertson recollects it. Back deep, Ekman Larson. Glove down, and this is taken up by what I believe is Drake Bafferson. Dispossessed, and the pass is intercepted. Here is Benoit, who leads the rush right back. On for Domi. Domi keeps it. Domi fires. He scores! Mad Max down Fury Road! And for the first time in 8 years, the Leafs have a home overtime playoff winner!
Yeah. Let's go.
Oh my God, Alex. 8 years later, and all Ottawa Senators fans can feel is pain in overtime. It never ends.
And may Panama play on to the night here in T-Dot.
Wow. Incredible.
Amazing.
There was a chance to win it earlier in this overtime as well. On the 3-on-2 rush, it almost ended there, but it was set up by Simon Benoit to have Domi open at the high slot on the return feed. Ottawa tied this game up as Domi faked out two guys, including Bafferson. He goes top shelf. He sliced right by Dylan Cousins. Does it again to Bafferson. Elevates it up. Bar in.
So, Alec, you and John will remember my reasonable take was that the Canes would make the cup. But if you remember, my hot take was whoever won this series, Ottawa and Toronto, would be the ones going to the Stanley Cup final. That was my hot take.
If Ottawa wins the series, you had them going to the final?
Hey, they wanted a hot take, Redbox. No,
Yeah.
Remember, I said whoever wins the series. And that listen, Toronto, to some people, saying they make the cup final is still a hot take because of, well, past history.
I know past history can factor in, but what? Well, John said William Nylander or Claude Giroux, and while we both picked Giroux for the overtime winner, I had someone on the fourth line winning it in overtime. It wasn't Domi. It was McMahon, and because McMahon's on a cold slump goal scoring wise, and it would be nice if he can get the overtime winner here. But the third line delivered. And Mad Max makes Ottawa pay.
Wow. I mean, we could have won that game easily in regulation. We had 2 or 3 chances in the second where that Matthews and Marner both had shots to put a third in, but we got it done.
Okay, someone quickly cut to Steve Dangle going nuts.
Leafs win! I did a poor impression of him.
I don't know anyone that can do it.
Yeah.
I bet you.
I can't match his energy.
I bet you he's running the live reaction on YouTube. I could probably go back and find it.
Yeah.
But what a win it is for the Maple Leafs. Oh, 3-2 to final in overtime. Domi gets his first career playoff overtime winner. He has 8 career playoff goals. This is his first in OT.
And we still have more or less 2 games ahead of us tonight.
Yeah, the Battle of Florida is still underway, but that's not really a competitive game. I wanted to cover this game after the fallout of Game 1. And this one intrigued my interest. And boy, was it a fun one. Well, it wasn't easy in Toronto, though, because Ottawa looked like they were the dominant team through the first 2 periods. Let's get this straight. They outshot the Leafs 20-10 through 2 periods. But Toronto turned on the third and limited the Sens without a shot attempt in the first 10 minutes of the third. But then it's tied up, and then it sets the stage for overtime, and there you have it. So,
Yeah.
here it is. Leafs win. And as such, anyone have any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
I'm just hoping the Blues can win 1 game. That's really all that's all I'm hoping for, Alec. 1 game, 1 win.
Well, at least you have the Thunder.
I do have the Thunder.
No, you know what? I want the Leafs to win the series on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday night.
A sweep, you think?
Oh, that's a bit bold. Don't you think, Redbox?
I mean, if we play like that again, maybe. But if we play like we did in Game 1, no.
Yeah, true. But can they replicate Game 1 for 2 consecutive games?
Not this team. I doubt it. I want to see it happen, though. I want us to win on Saturday night. Because if we don't win then, our next Saturday would be Game 7 in Toronto. And you know how our history of Game 7s is.
Oh. And you know, I know that's rough. But there's the lingering feeling inside me that makes me believe that if the Leafs were to face a Game 7, it doesn't have to be here. If the Leafs were to face a Game 7, I think this team is built for a Game 7. This Leafs team.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know what? Listen, Redbox. This is your first year with them, but I will tell you this. In a tight series, Craig Berube knows what he's doing. We escaped. Listen, St. Louis went to double overtime. Granted, it was the second round, but double overtime against the Dallas Stars.
I watched that game.
In round 2, and Pat Maroon came up with the miraculous winner. Pat Maroon. Listen, Craig Berube, the Blues don't make it, and the Canes don't make it. Hopefully they do, but if they don't, my hope is Craig Berube cements himself as one of the greatest coaches of this century by ending not 1, but 2 50-plus year cup droughts for 2 different teams. He will be one of the greatest coaches of all time. I will hear no argument.
I hope, yeah. I'm optimistic.
You know what? I'm with you there, Ian. As we say so long from Toronto, we'll see what the playoffs bring us down the road. Good night, boys. And good night, everyone. Hope to see you guys soon.
Yes, sir.